Welcome back to another edition of Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. We like to call it a freak flag, feel good, fake it till you make it. Ric Flair, woo! 512 Friday edition of Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Oh, that's right. Spec Text Line already lit up. What's up, fellas? What's up to y'all, too? It's going down on a Friday. We ain't here for a good time, but we're here for a good time and a long time, actually. We're getting into it. We got 6:15 Texas baseball. We'll be off a little bit early. We'll get into some Texas baseball discussion next segment. We'll talk Texas baseball beating West Virginia 12-2. NBA playoff review. Nuggets beating the Lakers and now taking a 2-0 series lead in that series. We'll preview the matchup tonight, Celtics versus the Heat. We'll also get into a little Longhorn football discussion. On3 has their top 100 players in all of college football. There's some Longhorns getting some love and some Longhorns that may have been snubbed. We'll get to that too. Tyrese Hunter returning to the 40 acres. All that and more. Before we do, let's introduce you to the rest of the crew. He was a second-round pick for the Montreal Expos, but a first-round pick for the Austin Radio Network. He originally committed to the University of Texas, but decided to forego the 40 acres and chase his dream in the cheese. Pippin ain't easy, but for him it's a breeze. He is Mike Hardball Harge, ladies and gentlemen. What's going on, brother?
Man, it's that Porter Brown going downtown. Yeah. We're going to talk a little bit about that Texas baseball here in a little bit, but I got a chance to go watch some great baseball. Shout out to my man Cam Parker for the Round Rock Dragons broadcast. Great baseball, great high school baseball. We'll get into it. I'll talk a little bit about it a little bit later. But let me talk about my man that sits across from me every single day. He hails from H-Town with the Get Down. He's a lifetime Longhorn and a proud card-carrying member of DBU. Legendary lifetime and now college football Hall of Fame Longhorn Derek Johnson said he was the best cover corner he had ever seen. He's a former NFL DB that still has that passion for film study, but he's not a fan of white condiments. But of course, he is a fan of you, the listeners. He is my man and yours, Rob Babels.
I appreciate the intro as always. Let's not waste any time introducing the real MVP, one of the hardest working members of the ARN family. He's got a hustler spirit, period. We don't know what he's paid. We do know that the man is underpaid. It is Patrick Davis, y'all. What's going on, Patrick? How you doing, brother?
Hey, man, it's a Friday. It's always good to be here on a Friday.
It is a 5-1-2 Friday, and we'll get into that a little bit later on. But we'll start off talking NBA, gentlemen, with the Nuggets taking a 2-0 series lead over the Lakers. Thought the Lakers would have a chance to pull out that win, but looks like Jamal Murray had a little something else to say about that in the fourth quarter. We will discuss it. We'll break it down. Also, you can be a part of the show. You're the most important part of the show. You're the heartbeat of this thing. You're the pulse of it. Hit us up on the Specs text line 512-337-3776. You also can hit us up via Twitter. Harge is at Hardball Harge in the Twitterverse. Patrick Davis is at It's Patrick Davis in the Twitterverse, and I'm at Rod Babers in the Twitterverse. Like I said, we'll get to some Longhorn football and basketball discussion. Top of the 4 o'clock, top of the 6 o'clock. We're off early for 6:15 for Texas baseball. Speaking of Texas baseball, we'll talk about their big win. Coach Pierce said, "Hey, we can't sweep them if we don't win the first one," and they made a statement with the first win, 12-2 over the West Virginia Mountaineers. All right, we'll talk about that coming up. But gentlemen, let's start off talking about the big win for the Nuggets, 108-103. Oh, also, we will get to it. Jim Brown's passing just broke a few minutes ago, right before the show came on air. We will get to that. I promise you. We'll talk about that. I don't know if we can devote enough time to the legacy of Jim Brown. And the truth is, I don't think anybody, and I will say this, I don't think anybody who is in our generation, Harge, I ain't that far from you. You're a little bit older than me, but not that far.
Just a little bit.
I don't think anybody in our generation can do him justice. Unless you're doing a ton of research on Jim Brown. For people that actually got a chance to see Jim Brown, and there ain't many left that saw Jim Brown that also can speak about it in a eloquent, articulate fashion. Mm-hmm. He, like I said, I don't know if we can do his legacy justice. And we'll try our best because I know a little bit about Jim Brown, but over the weekend I'll do even more research. But we will talk Jim Brown. I promise you. That just broke, so that's we didn't plan for it, but Of course we will change plans. Of course,
that's
for Jim
what
Brown.
We do.
Yeah,
that's what we do.
I promise you, Jim Brown will be a huge. If not, we'll just devote Rod's Round the Day talking about Jim Brown. All right, we don't have a chance to get to it, but I'm sure throughout the day Jim Brown's gonna come up more than once.
No doubt. No doubt.
So R.I.P. to the Jim Brown, who's a legend, and he's a legend in multiple sports. That's how you know how great Jim Brown is. He's always considered to be a GOAT in multiple sports.
And he might be one of the most underappreciated crossover actors that was out there. Somebody that went from from sports to acting, he might be in that category as well.
Well, I honestly, you could argue he's the first definitely the first football player to do it.
Yep.
But some players, some guys did it in sports. They did it unintentionally, or they did it as a kind of a side gig.
Yeah, where they just pop up in something.
Yeah, cameos,
Yes.
things like that.
Yeah.
No. You're talking about basically Jim Brown's plan after leaving the NFL and retiring. A lot of people thought way early, especially back then, even
Yep.
now. His plan was actually to go into Hollywood acting.
Yep.
Like that was his plan.
Yep.
I don't know his IMDb. I hadn't looked at it. He's probably been
It's pretty deep.
He's probably been in 40 50 movies.
It's deep.
Yeah,
It's deep.
I mean,
Yeah.
he's probably been in 40, 50. Now, I'm not saying he played, he's a lead role
Right.
in all those movies. He's a lead role in some of them, but he probably has been in 40 or 50 movies. If you look at athletes who have also crossed over, how many have as many IMDb credits or more than Jim Brown?
Yeah.
How many?
Not very many.
Can't think of any.
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
Can we think of any that guys many as Jim Brown? Now, wrestlers are different.
I was going to say, yeah.
Wrestlers cross over. All right, did a little something. The
They
Rock.
go somewhere else and then go somewhere else.
Yeah, The Rock is different, so
Yeah.
you want to put them on there and consider him part of it. I get that, but if you're just talking about the major sports,
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody's crossed over in
That's pretty
Hollywood
good. I like that.
as successfully as Jim Brown.
Yeah. I like that.
And by the way, he's considered the crossover was considered a failure.
To some.
Yeah, exactly.
Except for him.
Well, no, just,
Yeah, but yes,
to put it out
in the
to
eyes
frame
because
it.
of what he was as a football player.
Yes, exactly.
And obviously, a lot of people have been talking about lacrosse as well, but he wasn't as popular in lacrosse.
But he was a GOAT in lacrosse.
But he was, yes.
For the lacrosse community, Jim Brown's on the Mount Rushmore.
Exactly. Just like with football. A lot of people talk about him as a running back.
no
Where would
doubt.
you put him? Oh, he's on the Mount Rushmore. This person, but Jim Brown is one of those. So yeah, I'm in with that.
No, that is it really is. It's pretty. I mean, you talk about the legacy of it. It is pretty widespread and expanded because we're just talking about we talk about the Hollywood crossover. You're talking about him being a GOAT in multiple sports, football and lacrosse, and then talk about him as a social activist.
Yes. Yeah.
Talk about him during the civil rights movement. He became really close with a lot of these civil rights activists, and him himself became one. And that's another aspect of of his life and his legacy.
Yep. I'm down with that.
So you're talking about the impact. I mean, it is like I said, it's so widespread. I don't think we can do it justice. Like we're just too young to do it justice. But Bucky, somebody brought up that Bucky, and I agree with you. Say Bucky definitely knows about Jim Brown, and I think he was one of his favorite running backs. Bucky may be able to do it justice. I'm not saying Bucky's like old and decrepit or anything.
But I think it's like that when you talk
But
about.
he was in that realm.
You got to be able to see it.
That's
Yeah,
right.
we didn't see
But
it.
that's what I'm saying. Is like
NFL films.
when
I
you
didn't
talk
see
about
it.
Earl Campbell passing the eye test, and that's why he's an eye test Hall of Famer, first ballot, right?
Yep.
I think Jim Brown is kind of in that world where you go, well, if you saw him live, you went, oh, he's the greatest running back who's ever played.
Yep.
And we just none of us ever got to really watch him play a lot. And you get to see some highlights, but you don't get to watch a game.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I've never watched the Jim Brown game. I've just seen highlights. That's a great point.
Yep.
And so I feel like as a football theorist, I can't do it justice. If you watched a game, and we talk about this all the time. Ricky Williams has more rushing yards than Earl Campbell. I mean, Earl Campbell. I don't even think Earl Campbell got to 10,000. I'm not sure. Maybe he barely got there.
Right.
But Ricky's got more rushing yards than Earl Campbell. But Earl Campbell, this Patrick just mentioned it. We talk about it all the time. He didn't get to the Hall of Fame for stats.
Right.
He got in the Hall of Fame because people was like, you watched him, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Gail Sayers is in the same conversation. Like, you watched him, right? Yeah, we watched him.
You got
And
a
then-
chance to see what we saw, right?
Yeah, exactly.
9,400 yards for Earl Campbell. in
Right,
his career.
right. So you see a little shy of 10,000.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter.
Yeah.
So I know. So said OJ had bigger roles. I know OJ might have had bigger roles. I mean, I don't. I mean. we
Bubba
can get-
Smith had some. Carl Weathers, if we want to say, he wasn't that level, but he was
Rocky.
a pro football player for a little bit. So,
He was, he
he's
was on the
not on the
practice
athletic
squad.
level, but he's done a great job in acting.
Well,
Bubba Smith did a lot of movies, but he
That's what I'm
wasn't a
saying. If
major
we're gonna
role.
do that, then we can put the Rock in, and the Rock's the GOAT. Because
Yeah.
I don't consider, as I said,
Yeah, no, I got you.
that's a different path.
to
Agreed.
excel at both.
Yes, that's kind of my
Is like
thing.
the
Like,
thing, yeah.
It's I understand that when we go to guys who would just start off on practice squads and then had a sniff of it, then went into acting. Then you really gotta expand the list. That's why I said the Rock wins. Then if we're gonna go there, we're talking about the legacy of Jim Brown. The Rock
Yeah,
wins. You wanna
because
talk
he
about The
did
Rock?
play football too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He played football too. You want to go there? Then the Rock's beat them all.
Yep.
then The Rock's the GOAT. Y'all want to get into that? No. We're talking about, the
We're putting
legacy
some
of Jim Brown.
respect. Yeah, we're putting some respect on Jim Brown's name. That's
So,
right.
like I said, we can have that actual discussion about it, but I'm just saying, and if you talk about O.J. Simpson probably, I don't know if he played, like I said, if you go look at it, I haven't counted, I guarantee him and Jim Brown have played in about the same amount of movies. If you want to say that O.J. Simpson is also the crossover king of football,
Right.
to crossover in Hollywood. I get Jim Brown. You haven't looked at his credits. You just
Well,
got a
not
ton.
only that, we go back even further. We talked about one of the first people to cross over. OJ came, but he wasn't the first.
No, he was not.
You know what I'm saying? So when you put him in that realm, it's a totally different conversation. Yes, OJ probably did have bigger roles, but he wasn't the guy that decided to walk away from football
To pursue
acting
That was his intention.
at his height of his
Yes.
career.
Yeah.
Yeah,
At the
you're
apex
right.
of it.
Yeah, that's the difference.
That's a great point.
That's
At
the
the
difference.
apex of it.
That's
And
what
think
we
about
were
it,
talking
back
about.
then, guys, the running backs are quarterbacks, basically.
Yeah.
Like it was not passing league back then. So yeah, quarterbacks they got some love, but not the love they get today. They weren't the faces of the team. He was the face of the team.
He wasn't
And the face
he
of the
wasn't
league.
disrespected in the contract disputes because they were saying the running back is devalued.
'Cause
He was the value.
He was the value.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting. You can come at it from a lot of different ways, but
I'm with you.
it's a great legacy left behind by Jim Brown, who has now passed away. So R.I.P. Okay, we'll continue to talk Jim Brown. I promise you. Spec Sex Line. We'll get to some of your thoughts about Jim Brown and his legacy as well, and we'll get to some other. We'll get to updates also on the PGA Championship. We'll get to a ton of stuff. There's a lot to get to, but let's
So
talk
much.
about the NBA playoffs, folks, and the Nuggets now a 2-0 lead on the Lakers. I thought the Lakers last night were going to pull it out. They had control of the game for 3/4 of the game. Honestly, for the first 3/4 of the game. And then Jamal Murray happened. Jamal
Hello.
Murray, guys, he had 23 points in the fourth quarter on his way to scoring 37. Actually struggled. It was one of those. We saw this from Jason Tatum earlier in the playoffs. He actually missed 12 of 17 to start off the game, and had, I believe, 14 points going into the fourth quarter. In the fourth quarter, he just exploded. He had the most points he's ever scored in a single playoff quarter, and that is his fourth 20-point fourth quarter in the playoffs, giving him the most of any player in the playoffs. He definitely made a statement, 23 points, and the Lakers only had 24 points in the fourth quarter. He damn near outscored the entire Lakers team with his performance in the fourth quarter. Usually we're talking about Nikola Jokic and how he's, getting his flowers and getting his props. Not today. It was all about Jamal Murray and what Jamal Murray did, and the Lakers just couldn't stop him, and he gives the Nuggets a 2-0 lead.
Well, the thing about him was, this is the thing that I talk about all the time. It goes back to doing everything right at the free throw line. He was clutch at the free throw line. Did he shoot the ball well in the fourth quarter? Absolutely. He was 4 of 5 in the fourth quarter. 6 of 7 and 4 of 5 from three, but he was 7 of 8 from the free throw line. That's the important part of it, because when it's late in the game, they start fouling. You were watching everybody's face, and they looked like they were exhausted. Every single player is like, man, we've been playing so hard. But that's when the mentality, that strong mentality, and I remember watching a few years ago, they did an interview with him about his shooting at the free throw line late in games. And he said, my dad used to run me so much and make me get to the free throw line that if I didn't make the free throws, I had to run even more so. So the mentality is always, and if you ever watched him play, or you didn't watch him until this series, watch him before he gets to the free throw line. He gets to the free throw line and he practices his shot before they even give him the ball.
Yeah.
And that's the mentality that he's had, because that he said, that's my cue to make sure that I have my legs involved in my free throw. That's the thing. And when it's clutch time and you're seeing it, he's making these big shots, but you see he's got the ball in his hand. And it doesn't matter if you have the ball in your hand and you don't make free throws.
That's real.
But if you got the ball in your hand and you make the free throws, that puts you to that next tier. And I heard everybody talking about this earlier today. he's playing as an underdog because, Patrick, you talked about this earlier. He hadn't been an all-star. He has not been an all-star. And people don't ever think of Jamal Murray unless you're a basketball person and remember him at Kentucky and watched him play
And in the bubble, he had
he had a big
those
one.
2 50-point performances or whatever. Yeah.
And if you're not a true basketball mind or doing what we do every day, people don't understand it. My man goes out there and he puts in that work. And last year, the reason why they didn't get there, because he didn't play.
No, he was hurt. He's been hurt for that's a problem. Is him just staying on the court, and
Exactly.
he's been staying on the court this year. And I think we've seen, especially with the big names for the Lakers and Anthony Davis and LeBron James, they just look tired.
They look exhausted.
Really tired in that fourth quarter of every game. They look really, really tired, and they missed a lot of shots in the fourth quarter of that game that the Lakers needed to hit to win. And you want to give it to your star players, but when they're not coming out on AD because they're like, he ain't gonna hit this three, and they're not coming out on LeBron because he ain't gonna hit that three, that's a real problem when your stars can't hit the wide open jumpers. And Jamal Murray, on the other hand, is feeling the best he's felt in years. And he's coming out there and playing high level in the fourth quarter. It'll change a little bit when it gets back to L.A. because, LeBron will be back at his place where he's got probably at his house, he's probably got even better rest and rejuvenation, every science that's ever been made of how to keep your body up and replenish your muscles as quickly as possible. Plus, you're not going to be at elevation anymore. Yep. So if that changes, because if they hit 2 threes in either one of these games, it's different, right?
Yeah.
So they're not out of this series at all. You can't say, well, this is over because Denver's just going to run them, but you can't let a game like that get away. Let 2 games get away like that for the Lakers, and just all because you are missing shots at the end of those games.
That's a great point. Yeah. No, I'm with you. I think for LeBron, too, I mean
oh, my gosh.
I can't even understand this stat, but it is a crazy stat that LeBron is 1 of 20 now on 3-pointers in the fourth quarter in these playoffs. He has missed 19 straight 3-pointers in the fourth quarter, dating back to Game 2 of the first round of this year. Longest streak by any player in the last 25 years in the playoffs.
We are not getting the X-Man. We're not getting the X-Man LeBron right now.
That is wild.
And what we're getting, honestly, and I have to be the one who says this, we're getting a 39-year-old LeBron. We are starting to see that. And you talked about them being in Denver, 5280. That's the highest altitude that you can play at. This LeBron is the one that I am disappointed in. Not because he's not scoring, not because of what he's done in his career. I'm disappointed in the flopping and the mistakes that he's making. Is he putting up great numbers? Absolutely. Is he out there doing the things that we expect him to do? Yeah, but is he doing it at a superhuman level anymore? He can't. He's done so much, and I heard this too. He's played over 200 playoff games in his career.
Yeah.
Like, think about that.
Because he's in the conference finals pretty much every year.
Every single year. But he's at that point now where he's making so many. How does he airball a finger roll, number one, at the rim? Yeah. How does he miss that trying to figure out what he wanted to do on his dunk? That's not something we're used to seeing him do. And then he does this flopping thing where he was thrown into the wrestling corner. That's what they did to him. He was like, oh, you can't do that. I'm like, man, you have gotten to the point you're too old in the game, man. And I know people are always like, man, he's done it all his career. I agree. He has done it all his career.
He has flopped all his career.
But he is not that dude anymore. But I guess you can't make a leopard change his spots.
I think
I'm a huge LeBron fan too, by the way.
And for the record, Jokic had some bad flops in this game too. Everyone flops. It is what it is. You cannot single out LeBron as a flopper. The NBA flops. I get it's because the camera is always on him that we always see his mourn.
6'8", 270, bro. You can't be just.
Oh, no. I know. And that's the thing is there was one earlier where he backed into Jokic and Jokic went flying like he's 50 pounds. And you're like, Jokic is thick.
Yeah.
That dude ain't flying over when
And
someone backs
nothing's
the
going to be fast.
No, and so
Nothing's
we
gonna be
like you
fast.
see that and you go, okay, that's a flop too. I get it. Look, everybody flops. You shouldn't get those calls. They tried for half a season to stop flopping in the NBA and then realized they couldn't do it anymore. So I get it. That's not the problem with me the most. I mean, I think he's one of those guys that has to realize he shouldn't be on the ground as much as he is because we see how much longer it takes him to get up off of the ground.
Yeah.
You know, I used to make fun of Shaq back in the day when Shaq would hit the ground and he would kind of fall real slowly and then get up real slowly. That's where LeBron's getting at 39 years old.
Man.
So it's like, hey, man, you just can't keep falling because the problem is you can't pop back up and run back down the court like you used to. Those hurt more and more. So you shouldn't be flopping solely on, not that I care that you're flopping, but you shouldn't be doing it because it's ending up costing you points because now you're on the ground, and then when you hit the ground, your body's going, man, you're 39, take a nap, man. Just rest it out.
Yeah.
So you know you can't do that. It's more just disappointing to see that they understand the problem that they're missing them, and they're just not figuring out how to take that next step. That they were literally leaving Anthony Davis open for threes at the end of that game, not closing out on him.
Yeah.
Because they know if they close out, he's driving in and getting two easy points, maybe a foul. So they know, look, we'll take the 20% chance he hits a three over almost an 80% chance of 2 points and a foul.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but yeah, I mean, LeBron, I'm not as strong in my feelings about LeBron as you are, Harsh, that he's basically just now a shell of himself. Because he almost had triple-double. I mean,
No,
pretty close to it.
but I'm
Yeah,
saying
22, 10, and 9.
those mistakes
Two
that
blocks
he's
for
been
steals,
making
but
late in the
yes,
game.
he does. He is. I don't know if he's the guy necessarily in clutch time right now that you want to trust, even though he is in the GOAT conversation. Those 3 layups that he missed.
Man.
I mean, you lost by 5 points, and LeBron missed 3 gimmies.
And
I'm
the
not
one-
saying that's the reason they lost.
No.
But-
There was a lot that went on during that game. But when
Man.
you see LeBron get a ball in the open court and he doesn't finish, you see LeBron get a steal and get to the rim and miss the entire rim,
Yeah.
that is where I'm like, man, what are you doing?
It's one of the first times LeBron's looked old. I'll admit.
Right.
It's one of the first
Yeah.
times I'll
Right.
admit LeBron looked old. Man, he looked old.
And then
He just looked old.
he's looking around, and the one thing that I've really grown to really hate about the NBA right now is nobody will go and fight for a rebound. If you go back and look at the last 2.5, 3 minutes of that game, and you could probably find 2.5 minutes throughout the entire game, every single quarter, you will see that there is 0 people around the rim. Every player is standing around the perimeter. Every single player. And I'm like, at the end of the game or early in the game, I could see you doing that. I could see everybody waiting for their moment. But when we got to scrap to win, and you got to have that mentality of, I can't trust that this guy is going to make this basket. Because what I've seen is everybody believes that their guy taking that shot at the end of the game is going to make it, and they're standing and watching. And I'm like, it's late. None of you have legs. Go get a rebound. Like, I don't trust any of you right now.
Yeah.
And it's just so disheartening because now you're watching these games and you're saying, okay, to your point, LeBron missed those 3 layups. They lost by 5. There was probably 2 shots early in the game. Anthony Davis, he makes 1 3-pointer. So what does he think? I'm going to make another one. And it's like, bro, it's late. It was a good-looking shot, but I'm not trusting that he's going to make it, and nobody is there to get a rebound to push it back out. And then at the end of the game, what's his name, Bruce Brown
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
Denver.
Bruce Brown.
It's
Bruce Brown. You're right.
He looked like he was trying to foul LeBron, and he gets a clean steal. Like, he swipes at him and gets a clean steal, and I'm like, LeBron, you're 6'8", bro. Nobody should just be able to steal a ball from you without getting some sort of foul. But it's been happening more and more, and that's the only reason why I'm starting to look at LeBron and say, hey, man, I don't know if you're going to have the legs in L.A. to be able to say, he comes at the press conference, he's like, man, it's not over until 4. The other team wins 4 games. And I agree with that. But I don't know if you guys have that killer instinct because everybody thinks they're the guy.
Teams are 6-56 all time
There you
when trying to when trailing 2-0 in a conference finals and trying to attempt a comeback to win. But two of those comebacks actually have been orchestrated by King James.
LeBron, but you know how old he was? 23.
Yeah, he was young.
28.
Yeah, he was
you know
young.
what I'm saying? He was
Yeah,
that.
you're right.
There was a different
Very true.
type of guy, and his
I'll agree
game
with that.
was different.
Yeah, I agree.
Because he's settling for those jumpers.
He could finish back then.
For sure.
He can't. He doesn't finish as well now.
When I heard him say the other day, my strong hand is my left hand, I'm like, what? I've seen you go through the lane and tomahawk on people with your right hand. I've seen you get fouled on the way to the basket and make that layup because you're so strong with your right hand.
It's amazing.
He didn't flip the script and said, my strong hand is my left hand. I'm like, are you trying to throw everybody off the scent? You know what I'm saying? Foul him that way. No, man.
Or that, or you just get to that age where you're like, nah, my right hand's a little sore. my back,
Maybe.
because of how my back is, I
Maybe.
slept wrong. Now I can't grip my right hand right.
Maybe. And again, that's two games that they played that they had an opportunity
They were right in there.
to win the game,
I mean,
and they
and
let it slip through
Denver
their hands.
did not play great last night.
No.
Like game one, they both played pretty well. And then game two, Denver left the door wide open for you, and you were just not able to come back and get it.
Yep. I agree.
Well, Jamal Murray didn't let him.
No,
Yep.
and Jamal
I mean,
Murray,
he-
but that's the thing is
he just went
Jamal Murray should not be the second best player in the series.
And he shouldn't be able to go. He shouldn't be going off like that against what is considered to be the best defense
Yes.
left in the playoffs.
Yep.
Yeah, he
I
just.
agree.
I mean, we saw they benched Schroeder and put in Vanderbilt because he's got a little bit more size. And they basically said, okay, we're not going to do the Romer thing. We're not going to put in Achimura early because we know that he's only got X amount of minutes in him. We don't want to put him in for too long. If we start him, then there's a huge gap because when Anthony Davis comes out, then we have to have somebody else in there.
Yep.
So I get why you didn't want to move him into the starting lineup, but at the same part, you move in Vanderbilt, and then he's still not. And I mean, he did okay on him for a while, but in that fourth quarter, you need to have somebody fresh enough and up to it enough to go in there and stop Jamal Murray from lighting you up.
He scored the final 12 points of the game for Denver. They couldn't stop. That's the second most points, consecutive points scored for a team in the end of a game in the conference finals or the NBA finals in a win over the last 25 years. LeBron had 25, remember?
Yeah.
At the consecutive straight final at the end of the
Detroit
game versus Detroit
right? Yeah.
in 2007.
That was when everybody was like, man, he's really good. I'm like, dog, he took his team to the playoffs his first year, second year, third year, any year.
Maybe people start saying it about Jamal Murray now.
Maybe.
Because
Maybe.
he's been lighting them up, man.
Maybe.
He's kind of replicating what he did in the bubble
Yes, he did.
a couple of years ago.
Yes, he did.
All right, we come back. We got Texas baseball to discuss. Big win for Texas baseball to try to keep those winning ways going. Coming up next right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn.
Hardball Hard here, and I want to talk to you about my friends over at the League Kitchen and Tavern. I want you to make this plan for either the weekend, but most importantly for Monday. I want you to enjoy Burger Mondays. You get 2 burgers for the price of 1. Whether you're at Belterra, Lakeway, Bee Cave, or you might see me at the Avery Ranch location, the League Kitchen and Tavern has something for you. It's the month of May. May is almost up. Make sure you try out that May burger of the month, the Santa Fe burger. It's a house blend patty, hatch chili, braised pork, pepper jack, and pico de gallo on an aioli bun. My favorite food for the best time in the main entree of the month of May has been the hatch chili pork enchiladas. I've been enjoying that, and I guarantee that you will too. Whether you dine in or pick up, the League has something for you. You can view monthly specials and the menu at leaguekitchen.com. That's leaguekitchen.com.
Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. 512 Friday edition of Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. That's when Patrick plays jams that from very talented human beings, very talented bands and artists and musicians that you have a chance to hear live right here in the ATX. Who are we jamming right now, Patrick?
This is Lou Apollo, and he is playing today at Still Austin.
I like that name, Lou Apollo. It's a good name. It's good. I like that.
Smooth.
It is smooth.
Yeah.
All right. Something else that was smooth were the Longhorns yesterday. Texas baseball with a big win, 12-2 over the West Virginia Mountaineers, number 6 ranked West Virginia Mountaineers, actually Big 12 leading West Virginia Mountaineers. Hards Lucas Gordon on the mound. He showed up. He had 7 shutout innings, allowed 4 hits, 1 walk, had 8 strikeouts. And then on the flip side of that, it was all about Porter Brown. You brought him up, but man, he talk about showing up at the right time. 3 home runs.
3 home runs. Think about that.
3
big time.
That's crazy.
And crucial. They've been, this was a huge game for the Texas Longhorns. We talked about it yesterday. They have an opportunity to finish out the year, put themselves in the position of number 1. Coming into this game, West Virginia was the number 6 team in the country, too, by the way. Let's not forget that. They were ranked number 6 in the country. So for Texas to go out there, this helps with their RPI ranking. This helps with the committee looking at them and seeing, okay, Texas decided to show up this game. Let's see what they do tonight. LeBaron Johnson's going to get the ball on the mound. But last night, for him to go out there and Porter Brown to have 4 for 5, as you said, tied a school record, a program record for 3 home runs in a game, which is something that hadn't happened
crazy.
It happened in 2023.
Happened last year.
2022 with Murphy Stadium.
Yeah.
But that's something, it's like the Ricky Williams all-time leading rusher. You put up a big number and you're like, he became the all-time leading rusher. And then next year, somebody gets the record with Ron Dane. It's something that stood for a long time and now it got flipped. That's huge for him. And I got a chance to do a game with Craig Way last week, and I told you, I said he hit a ball the opposite field further than I seen some guys pull it to left field. And I was so impressed with his opposite field power. While I was talking to a buddy of mine while I was at the Round Rock game, he was at the Texas baseball game, and he told me, he said, Porter Brown just hit a ball off the center field batting eye.
Wow.
Like he was hitting the ball all over the place. Like those are the types of things that we've been waiting for in any sport at any time. When your team gets hot at the right time, anything can happen. Now, 12-2, West Virginia, they're licking their wounds. They're the number 1 ranked team in the conference, so they're going to be coming out ready to play. But last night, for the things that happened, shout out to Dylan Campbell as well, and going 3 for 4, extending his hitting streak to 31 games.
It's crazy.
The second longest in Big 12 history, by the way. The second longest. And he got it on a bunt in the first inning. That's one way of getting it out of the way, and then he finished it off with a home run to left field that, by the way, was hit as far as Porter Brown's ball a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, it's his 8th home run of the season.
11th. For Dylan Campbell.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, 8th in the conference.
8th in the conference.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he's been phenomenal.
Yeah.
And what's the record for the Big 12?
I think
hitting
it's
streak?
35.
Yeah.
35.
I'm not gonna jinx
He's
the man.
creeping.
I'm not gonna jinx the man.
Creeping on the come up.
But yeah, I mean Texas, they were going up against, just so everybody knows, this was not the best pitcher for West Virginia.
Right.
They'll be going up against a better pitcher tonight.
Yep.
And West Virginia chose a different strategy. They put, I believe it was a freshman they put out there initially.
Who took his first L too, by the way. That was the first loss for him this season. So it was an interesting situation, interesting strategy for them to go with that. But at the end of the day, I got to face who's on that mound, and I made him pay. Now, we get another opportunity today. You got to have the same approach, go out there and make some adjustments. But I was telling a buddy of mine earlier, when you look at the Texas Longhorns batting averages, you look at Jared Thomas. He's batting .329 for the season. You look at Peyton Powell. He's batting .363. Dylan Campbell, .338. Garrett Gilmette, .322. Porter Brown, .337. Eric Kennedy, .317. Tanner Carlson, who doesn't have a lot of at-bats, but every time he gets a chance, he goes out there and makes the most of it. He's batting .306. Jack O'Dowd, who plays pretty much every day at second base, is .277. That's swinging the bat.
It is.
That's giving yourself an ample opportunity every single time you come up to the plate. And as I've talked to you about before, situational baseball. There was a spot early in a game. They got your hottest hitter, your guy that has a streak. You ask him to bunt in the first inning. He gets it down and he ends up getting a hit. Those are the things that you have to capitalize on, and that's what Texas did yesterday.
Yeah, the 12 runs Texas scored, second most allowed by West Virginia this season. So West Virginia's not accustomed to giving up that many runs.
Right.
They're one of the better teams in all of college baseball. And Texas, to get a share of the Big 12 title, they got to sweep West Virginia, taking care of business. At least they got to start out that way, at least in the first game. And they got to sweep them and also get a little bit of help from Oklahoma. Oklahoma's got to beat Oklahoma State at least once.
Yeah, they did not last night. They got the West Virginia treatment last night. Oklahoma did.
Hey, it's a rivalry. So
Yeah,
that's a rivalry, though. So anything can happen. They got at least most of the weekend to figure it out. But Texas just needs one. But Texas can't even worry about that till they take care of business. So they got to work out breaking the brooms on the West Virginia Mountaineers.
We got goals over here. We got goals, and they trying to achieve them right now.
It is. It's pretty impressive though what Lucas Gordon has done, getting back to his performance. He's now first in the Big 12 in ERA and second, I believe, if you look at overall innings pitched, fourth in strikeouts, fifth in opposing batting average allowed. He's taken his game to the next level. He talked about it. He wanted to do it for his team. He knew this was a pressure moment, big time pressure situation. Harge, I mean, what are your thoughts about Lucas Gordon and how he's performing right when you need him to be at his best? He looks to be having his best stuff right now.
Well, the one thing that I've always talked about, and I'll continue to say, if you continue to throw strikes, it makes it easier for your team to play behind you. I said it yesterday. His first pitch strike location was outstanding yesterday. He was able to move the ball in and out. And the most important thing is they play clean baseball too. So if you're throwing strike, it's all about the rhythm. And once you get that rhythm with your team, I can play good defense behind you. I'm anticipating certain things to happen because I'm not on my heels because you're walking guys. If you go out there and you pitch and you throw strikes, we can make plays behind you. You get involved in it. You get amped up. He had a ground ball come back to him early in the game that kind of got him going. He had to get over to first base on a ground ball to first that he hustled. So it gets your adrenaline going and gets you dialed into the game, and that's exactly what he was doing. You talked about it. He's number one in the country, right? I mean, in the Big 12. He's number one with ERA 2.48. He's number 2 in innings pitched. He's number 4 in Ks, and he's number 5 in batting average against. That's what you want from your guy that starts game one for you in a weekend where you have to try to sweep.
Yeah, it's got to have it serious for Texas. So they're in postseason mode already.
Every game. I heard Coach Pierce talk about that with B&E. He was like, the last couple of weeks we've been in that mindset. So way to go.
And that's a hell of a way to start out the weekend series versus West Virginia. So tonight we're off early at 6:15 for Texas baseball. It'll be their game 2 versus West Virginia, and we can give you a little sneak peek about that matchup before we're off air in the 6 o'clock hour. In the meantime, we'll come back, get into the flex on the other side. My man Harge got a chance to see some of the best high school playoff baseball he says he's ever seen in his life. That is not hyperbole. That is what he said to me when he came in the break. All right, we'll come back and talk about it right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Everybody knows getting a little bit older, hopefully getting a little bit wiser. But as I get older, I realize there are certain things you just got to leave in the past. And I'm ready to leave a lot of those things in the past as I get older and wiser, like social distancing, cancel culture, even the Big 12. But as I grow older, I realize there are some things that are destined to change. They have to change. But as more things change, the more things stay the same. And one thing that I'm not ready to leave behind is my favorite beer. That's Bud Light. I've been drinking Bud Light since my days on the 40 acres on 36th Street when I was balling on the 40 acres through my time in the NFL as a player. And nowadays, as a reward after a hard day's work, after, just to decompress or just, after some yard work on the weekends. It doesn't matter. After a long, hard day, Bud Light is the way to go. It's still my go-to beer for my Longhorn tailgates on Saturdays and NFL Sundays. And whether you want to toast and cheers to a brighter tomorrow or you want to drown your sorrows, it's never a bad time to break out the Bud Light. Bud Light isn't just for anybody, it's for everybody. The best way to get the good times going is to keep the Bud Light flowing. Bud Light is a sure sign of a good time because it turns those good times into great times and the rest of the times into the best of times. So be the life of the party and bring more Bud Light to the party. Bud Light is my choice and the world's favorite light beer. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a 512 Friday edition of Ball Don't Lie. That's when Patrick plays jams from local bands and artists, very talented human beings that you can catch live right here in the ATX. Who are jamming right now, Patrick?
This is Willie McGee, and he is playing Saturday at Sagebrush.
I kind of like this groove. It feels old school a little bit to it. Kind of feels vintage a little.
It's got a little bit of that, I can't think of the guy from Toy Story. The guy who did the song for Toy Story.
Oh, I know exactly.
I can't think of his name. I don't know why it's eluding me right now. Very famous.
Yeah.
Specs Exxon will light you up here
Yes,
in a
I know.
second.
I know. It's terrible.
Trying to get it before the Specs Exxon sends it in.
I know who it is, too. I know exactly what you're
I don't feel bad because I have no idea who y'all talking about. But I'm sure I'll know when y'all mention the name.
He's the guy.
Specs
He's the
Exxon
guy
lights
that
us up.
always writes for movies. So.
Oh, did he write for
Randy Newman. Randy.
Randy
Yes,
Newman.
that's what I'm saying. He writes for everything.
Okay. Yeah. I was thinking about that because I was thinking about what was it? The Cameron Diaz movie.
Something About Mary.
Something About Mary. Did he
Yeah.
write for something for that?
No, I think that was a different band.
That
That
was
did
a
lot of
different.
that.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I was
But
thinking
I know
about
what
that.
you're talking
They
about.
made it.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, all right. So I'm wrong on both accounts. So I apologize about that. All right. Let's get into the flex right here. FLXATX.com. FLXATX on all of your social media platforms. All right, Harge, you got a chance to go see the Westlake Round Rock playoff baseball game last night. Game 1, actually.
I did.
Because they got game 2 tonight. You told me this is one of the best high school baseball games you've ever seen.
It was. It was definitely one of the
Wow.
best high school baseball games that I've ever seen. This was one that I might have played in. You know what I'm saying? This is one of the best and cleanest games that I've had the chance to see.
Did
And
you
then-
say it's one that you might have played in?
No, I'm just saying, like, I've played in some great high school baseball
okay.
games.
Just wanna
but
give
going
yourself
against
some props. I
No,
love
no,
that.
no. I'm saying.
It's something like Harge would have played
I would
in.
have played in it, but I
And
got a
balled out
chance
in it,
to
too.
witness some great baseball
Okay.
by two of the best teams in Central Texas. We've talked about it, and I'm sure a lot of people will say, well, we play great baseball too. I understand that, but I wasn't at your game last night. I was at this game, and it was one of the cleanest games from the both of the teams, the way they went about their business, the fans, everything was first class. It was on point. It was what you expect to see. Like if you were to go watch one of your favorite or one of the two teams that were playing each other in football, you saw them in basketball where it was so evenly matched that everybody on both sides were on pins and needles.
Yeah.
That type of atmosphere, that type of pitch-to-pitch situations. And I want to give I can't believe I'm doing this, but this is one of the best compliments I could ever give anybody.
Give it to him.
That was one of the best umpired baseball games that I have seen.
You just compliment the officiating?
Yes,
Wow.
because they didn't make it about them.
Man.
They made it about these kids, and they went out and they performed. There was not one time that I've went to a baseball game where I didn't hear, "Come on, Blue, you're terrible. Get in there. You missed that." Not one time the entire game. So I got a chance to be on the call with my man Cameron Parker on the Round Rock side. I got a chance to go and sit with some Westlake parents and talk to some Westlake parents during that game because all these kids know what's at stake. And for them to go out there and play the way that they played and was so evenly matched, for those that don't know, the game came down to the very last inning. Base hit to right field, play at the plate, as close as you could possibly play, and it was a walk-off. So it was
Another
great,
walk-off?
But it was 7 innings. I wasn't there for extra innings, bro. I wasn't there for
okay.
extra innings.
Yeah.
But it was
Walk-off in regulation.
Walk-off. Round Rock had the home field. They got up their last at-bats. Kid fouled Hunter Ellis. Fouled it off, got a pitch he can handle, drove it into right field. Right fielder comes up, makes a very strong throw at the plate. Bang, bang. Player safe. Could have went out. Could have went safe. Called him safe. Game over. Pandemonium. People leaving. But it was the most evenly matched game. And, of course, Travis Sequoia was the one that everybody was there to see, the big 6'5", 100-mile-an-hour fastball pitcher that's going to be going to the University of Texas, going to be drafted in the first round. It was a perfect atmosphere for everyone to be there to watch it. Every news station was there. I mean, it was outstanding stuff.
Hold up, this kid you mentioned, the 6'5" kid who's committed to Texas.
Committed to Texas.
He's not going to Texas then.
No, he'll get drafted. He's committed though. He's committed though. I don't know if the NIL is gonna be enough. Like for your boy, the NIL would have had him. I don't think
Unless
the
they
NIL.
combine all the sports NIL deals into one and give it to one person.
What did you say the other day?
Yeah.
I was looking at it, and baseball's not very high on that list.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, baseball's like number 10 on the list of these sports that generate the most NIL revenue. So, yeah, they won't be able to keep that young man if you're talking about him being projected as a first rounder.
Absolutely.
And you saw it. He warrants that projection.
He warrants it. The fastball wasn't where, it wasn't there the entire game, like to that number, 98 to 100.
But you saw it.
But I saw the breaking ball, and it showed me that he knows how to pitch because he believed in his other stuff. When the fastball, when he was getting a little bit tired, he went to his breaking ball, and it was falling off the table. I was very impressed with what I saw from both teams. Chance Cover went out there and pitched his tail off yesterday. I mean, he struggled the first two outings in the playoffs. This game, pitched his butt off and was in every single pitch and the intensity and everything that was on it. That's the other part. That's the part that a lot of people I posted a video yesterday. There were people up on the football field watching from the top of the football field because they couldn't get in to get a good seat in the game. That's how packed this was last night. There were scouts all over the place. There were alumni that was there. There were people coaches from other schools that were there.
It's going to be the same thing tonight.
It's going to be the exact same thing, and it's right across the street from us, which I don't know how they're going to get all them people in there either.
What time does it start?
That's first pitch, 7:30.
Okay, so I'll miss that traffic.
You'll miss that traffic.
Pass all that then. All right. Thankful about that.
Yeah. Don't stop by Vaqueros because you might see a lot of people up there too.
It's going to be packed over there at Vaqueros.
Yes.
That is but that's crazy. So if Westlake wins, then we go to
game three at Concordia.
Okay.
That's the one that they play on the road. That's right.
For the third game.
That's right.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm kind of hoping it gets to
Goes
the neutral site. That'd be pretty cool.
So is Westlake.
Yeah. I guess, sorry, Round. I was like, what the hell are you talking about? You hoping it goes to game three? We're hoping to end this thing.
So is Westlake.
Yeah, we're hoping to finish him.
That's right. Finish him.
So good luck to both squads, man. That's good stuff. Any other action you want to get to?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Georgetown. Georgetown softball, they won yesterday. Georgetown baseball, unfortunately, they lost. Tonight is the big game with Cedar Park and Rouse. They're going to be playing at Concordia tonight. Winner take all, one game. Whatever happens tonight, the team advances, and some other team's season is over. Shout out to Lake Travis as they won yesterday against San Antonio Johnson. So there's a lot of baseball still being played around here, a lot of good baseball. And tonight, winner take all for for Rouse and Cedar Park, and Westlake is over there hoping they can extend it to game 3.
Hoping. Yeah, that would be some high-level drama right there to get to a game 3. All right, so good luck to all the squads in the flex area participating in the high school baseball playoffs tonight. All right, we come back. We'll get into some Longhorn football conversation and Texas basketball conversation as well. On3 ranked the top 100 players in college football. We'll get to that list, talk about what Longhorns made that list, and Tyrese Hunter giving the Longhorn basketball community some really good news. All that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Let me tell you about a very special event that is going down. We are really excited to be covering the premiere of The Ride. Tuesday, May 23rd at Alamo Drafthouse. We'll be out there hanging out for a live broadcast, folks, and The Ride. It's an 8-episode docuseries that followed the Austin Gamblers as they navigate the league's inaugural season. We're talking about budding rivalries, exhilarating highs, and the challenging lows throughout the PBR Team Series, which is PBR's newest team-based competition. We're talking about Pro Bull Ride, folks, and it is fantastic. The ride coming to Prime Video on May 30th. You can see the Austin Gamblers live in action. That's August 25th through the 27th at the Moody Center. Get your tickets right now. Just go to austingamblers.com. That's austingamblers.com. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. 512 Friday edition of Ball Don't Lie. That's when Patrick plays jams from local bands and artists, very talented human beings that you have a chance to catch live right here in the ATX. Who we jamming right now, Patrick?
This is Sue Foley, and she is playing tonight and tomorrow night at the Continental Club.
The blues. I think,
and you know where the Continental Club is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we don't play a lot of blues on the show, actually.
Not a ton. I mean, we used to have Blue Monday.
On Blue Monday.
Well, we do. On Smooth Soul Monday,
yeah.
we have had it. You're right.
Yeah,
I think we have
bit.
had some blues because I think some Longhorn fans may have had the blues a couple
didn't
times
have too
during
many.
football season. But yeah, we have had a little bit. But that's some nice little blues there for you on a 512 Friday. So appreciate Patrick and all of his hard work. You can be a part of the show. You're the pulse of this thing. 512-337-3776. That's the number to the Specs text line. You can hit us up via Twitter. Harge is at Hardball Harge in the Twitterverse. Patrick Davis, the real MVP at It's Patrick Davis. I'm at Rod Babers in the Twitterverse. We will get to some of that Tyrese Hunter news, which is really good news because Harge, you broke that right at the end of the show
Right
yesterday.
when we were leaving.
Yeah, so we didn't get a lot of time to discuss it and talk about it, but we will do that coming up later on in this segment. But first, I want to get to this list on 3, ranked what they believe are the top 100 players in all of college football, and some Longhorns made the list. I don't think enough Longhorns actually made the list. We'll get to that, but I want to go over which Longhorns were ranked and where they were ranked in the on 3 top 100 list overall. I don't know if you got a chance to look at the entire list, Harge. And Caleb Williams, for those who don't know, he is the Heisman Trophy, the reigning Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, and he also is at the top of the list of the 100 top players ranked by On3. And the first Longhorn you see on the list, Harge, and we won't go through, obviously, everybody on the list, gave you number one, but the first Longhorn you get on the list is Xavier Worthy.
Mm-hmm.
They got Xavier Worthy as the 21st ranked overall player on their basically top 100 rankings. This was done by two guys, Charles Power and I believe his name is Clark Brooks. So they did it. They compiled it based on their own formula, whatever it was. And they decided that Xavier Worthy is the second-ranked receiver on the list. He's behind Marvin Harrison. He's number 3 on the list overall, behind Drake May of North Carolina, quarterback, at number 2, just to finish off the top 5. Brock Bowers, tight end from Georgia, is at number 4. Jarrett Verse, the edge rusher from Florida State, is at number 5. And they got Harold Perkins, the LSU linebacker, at number 6.
I like him, by the way. He's a freak.
I love him, actually.
Yeah.
They move him around a ton, too, man. He's a hell of a player.
Yeah.
But they got Xavier Worthy at number 21 as overall, but the second-ranked receiver behind Marvin Harrison. Too high, too low, in your opinion, about Xavier Worthy? I said last year I thought he still was considered to be, the best receiver in the Big 12, or one of the best receivers in the Big 12. And I know he had a regression, but I stood strong with it and took a lot of blowback from it and heat, because I understood, he did regress. And we found out later, had the broken hand. So that was a big part of his regression as a sophomore. Big things expected from Xavier Worthy this year, becoming wide receiver 1.
I'm going to put him just right there. I mean, if you go back and you look at the list, and obviously we talked a little bit about it, he's the second wide receiver on there. So if we want to break it down, I mean, there's different players, just like being recruited, right? You do the top 300, and there's 5 linebackers in front of you. Well, I mean, linebackers are pretty talented. So there was a position of need. But when you look at the wide receiver and you look who he's second behind, Marvin Harrison Jr., I think that's the perfect place for him. And I think he's going to, when the draft happens, they switch people up in a position of need. Where do you feel like they need help? So for me, I think that's a good position for him to be in, even if it is at number 21.
I like it for him too. He does have a chance this year to kind of springboard himself into being considered to be a first-round wide receiver among the top, 4 or 5 receivers coming out next season. And I don't know, Xavier Worthy just strikes me as the type of guy that's going to leave early if he can leave early.
Oh, my goodness. He trying to leave now.
He tried to leave early even before
he was like,
leave.
hey, change my birth certificate. I'm older. Take me.
I think we're all hoping, hey, have a great year, and then, you could be a first-round wide receiver. That'd be great. And here's what I think happened to him, other than the broken hand. Broken hand was a big part of his regression. We all agree, looking back in retrospect. But his average depth of target last season was damn near 18 yards, which means he was the deep threat last season for Texas. But you go look at his freshman year when he came to Texas, his average depth of target was around 13, a little over 13 yards. So he wasn't as much of a deep threat. Now, it could be a deep threat, of course, but it wasn't something that he was pigeonholed into and typecast as a deep threat. When Texas lost Isaiah Nayor last year, we know Sark and how obsessed he is with the deep ball. All right, that's just he's already said it's a big part of his offense. They got to get better at it. When he didn't have a natural deep threat within the offense, he forced Xavier Worthy to become that deep threat. And I think it was also, with the broken hand, a part of the regression. He was a yak daddy in his rookie season, or his freshman season, I should say. He was at 8.5 yards after the catch per reception. That number dropped to 5.4 yards after the catch per reception in 2022. Yeah. We know Sark likes his wide receivers to be, like I said, call them yak daddies.
Guys, yeah.
He wants those guys to be able to get yards after the catch. And for Xavier Worthy, he really did regress in that area. This year, he won't have to be the deep threat, because A.D. Mitchell could be that deep threat. Isaiah Nayor, knock on wood, if he comes back healthy, he can be that deep threat. Hell, we saw Jonte Cook.
Yes.
Become
stretch the field, too.
Yeah, become that deep threat. So I think his yards after the catch, his freshman year, he was at 526 yards after the catch. That was the 10th most in the Power 5 of any wide receiver as a freshman, and he fell to 41st in 2022 last season. He just had just 324 yards after the catch. That's what he's actually better at. Even though he's slim and slight, he's got good play strength. And he's quick.
Yeah, I was going to say his speed plays him through people.
Yes.
because he's that fast. And when he's coming downhill, you underestimate how you're going to get to him because everything is violent. He's violent once he gets the ball in his hands. So he's not trying to shake and bake you. He may give you one move, but he's trying to beat you to that corner so he can outrace you to the touchdown. So I agree with you 100%. So going back to that, you look at Marvin Harrison Jr. being number 2 as the number 2 overall player in most people's eyes. And you got that other wide receiver for Ohio State as well.
Marvin Harrison?
No, Marvin Harrison.
You're talking about
yes.
I can't even pronounce his name.
Double E's.
Yeah, I don't want to disrespect that man like
so
that.
he is, in some accounts, looked at as being a better wide receiver than X-Men.
Emeka Egbuka.
Yeah, but now they're looking at him in a totally different light. So I'm appreciative of what we've had from X-Men. Like you said, it's interesting to find out that halfway through the season he had a broken hand and nobody knew it, which we would have figured out that story too.
I'm not mad about the broken hand. I'm mad they kept throwing the ball to the man with the broken hand.
Great point.
It's okay. He's playing through it. He's just being a tough SOB. I like that.
He's a football player.
He's a tough mofo. I'm mad at the game plan. They keep throwing the ball to the man with the broken hand.
I like that.
And I'm Jay Witt. I'm going, hey, I got 2 healthy hands.
I'm healthy for the season.
Please,
for the first time.
For the first time ever.
For the first
Throw me the
time.
ball.
Yeah.
JT Sanders, hey, I got
I'm
2
with
hands.
you.
I got 2 hands. All right. They're
I'm
perfectly
with you.
fine. Throw me the ball.
I'm with you.
I think that's probably where
Where I'm
my
at.
criticism came there. But
I
anyway,
agree.
getting back to the 0-3 rankings, but I do think Xavier is going to have a hell of a year. And I saw Pro Football Focus. They're ranking all the different positions of returning starters and the top returning starters at each position. They got them 4th.
Yeah.
On their list. So they got him as a top 5 wide receiver as well. All right, getting back to the list. The next Longhorn ranked is Kelvin Banks. Kelvin Banks, they have 51st overall. And they got him 51st overall on this list. And I believe they got him around the 7th or 8th tackle on this list. I got to go back and count them all. But they got him, which is actually where Pro Football Focus, I believe, had him ranked at the 7th overall tackle, too.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a guy that he's just a true freshman last year.
Thank you. That's what I was going to say. It's like, okay, for him to be ranked 7th, I'm sure that none of these other guys are freshmen or sophomores.
I got to go check that.
So
I don't know.
we got to check that for sure. But, yeah, I'm cool with that.
I got to go check that out.
Let's see where he's going to be next year and the year after that, because he's going to be near the top if he continues to progress in the direction that he was last year.
Yeah, last year, like I said, it's unfortunate that last year he had such a great year because the bar is really high for him.
Oh, yeah, the expectations
so
are
you
through
can
the
easily
roof.
see him giving up, 2 or 3 sacks just on the entire season and going, yeah, he regressed. It's like, he regressed. Yeah, he regressed. He
gave up sacks.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he was just so good last year.
He gave up sacks.
He faced 4 first-round edge rushers last season. Kelvin Banks, as a true freshman at left tackle, and allowed 0 sacks to those 4 first-round pass rushers. Will Anderson at number 3, Tyree Wilson at number 7, Will McDonald at number 15, Felix Anudike Uzoma at 31 overall. He allowed just 4 pressures, 0 penalties, 0 sacks. So basically allowed a pressure, on average, he allowed a pressure per first-round defensive end and edge rusher he faced last year.
Yeah.
1 pressure.
That's
Come on, dude.
That's a real
He's
dude, man.
So he's on a different level, and he's just a sophomore this year. So big things expected from Kelvin Banks. Yeah, they had him 6th on the list. I went and just counted it now.
I like it.
So basically, he ends up being the 6th tackle on the list, and Pro Football Focus ranked him 7th on their list of returning tackles. So they did pretty good.
Impressive.
Yeah, like I said, true freshman. I'm with you, Harge. I bet if I went back and looked at all the guys ranked ahead of him, it'd be hard. I think you'd be hard pressed to find, a true freshman ranked higher than him.
Right.
Considering what he did last season. All right, let's go back to the list here. At number 75, Quinn Ewers. He's the 8th quarterback on the list.
That's a little deep.
They got him as the 8th quarterback on the list. And remember when we looked at the on-3 position rankings, remember they did the position rankings earlier this year, just overall positions? They had the Texas quarterback room ranked as the 3rd best quarterback room in the country. But that's adding Malik Murphy and also Arch Manning in there. But they had the third best quarterback room in the country. They had Texas wide receiver room as the second best wide receiver room in the country.
Interesting.
So it just goes to show that they're really high on Quinn Ewers, I guess, in the entire quarterback room. But also, I think Sark's quarterback nurturing abilities, his quarterback guru abilities, are also thrown in there as a factor. Whether consciously or subconsciously, I think people think, oh, no, Sark with that kind of talent, most of the time they end up getting close to their ceiling, at least with him.
Right, because he's going to push you to that point.
Well, he's got a good resume when it comes to quarterback development. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
So, listen, Quinn Ewers last year, I thought Quinn Ewers had made huge strides at the end of the season. But I think a big part of Quinn Ewers' development this year is just going to be getting him in the groove early, getting him in the rhythm early. And that's why if I'm Sark, man, I'm thinking about quick game. You want that ball out of his hands, and you want it in the hands of your playmakers as much as possible, as early as possible. And I think that will get him in a groove early. Because my prognostication, I think Texas may struggle with the running game early on. Just a little bit. Just based on what we saw in the bowl game. No Bijan, no Rojo. What happened to the running game? It struggled. And I think I'm not saying it's going to struggle to the point where it will be non-existent, but I think early on they're gonna have some growing pains in the running game without elite running backs like Rojo and Bijan. They're basically training wheels in the running game for them. And you're gonna look at all the offensive line metrics for Texas last year. They'll show the offensive line underachieved when it came to run blocking, but you had such elite. Basically elite runners and elite guys at breaking tackles at Rojo and Bijan that they really kind of, basically evened it out. They balanced out the underachieving run blocking or the underwhelming run blocking of the Texas O-line. So I think your running game is basically going to be an extension of the passing game. Screens, quick game, getting the ball out really fast. And to me, if I was Sark, that's probably where I would try to focus early on with a young Quinn Ewers and even with the passing game.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that is something, too, that when you start looking at how do you help him get elevated, like you said, be quick with the ball, get it out of your hands, but also use every bit of the talent that you have around you. Lose everyone. Like, we talked about, you said it yesterday about Jatavian Sanders and how we need to get him involved early. Going back to your quick game, use him as that guy that is, okay, let's look at him and say, let's get him the ball, let's get him involved because it gives him more energy in the game.
Yep.
We don't know what the running game is going to be. Jonathan Brooks, I like him.
him too.
But is he going to be able to do that? C.J. Baxter, freshman. We know sometimes in the speed of the game, they have to make those adjustments as well. But you know who doesn't have to make that adjustment? Whittington, Jay Witt. He's ready for you.
He is ready for it.
He wants the ball. And I know you're about to talk about A.D. Mitchell. You knocked on the table about Isaiah Nayor. You have weapons. And, of course, we've already talked about Worthy. You have the weapons. Give everybody. What do you always say? Ain't no fun if the homies can't have none. Spread the wealth. Spread the wealth.
Yeah, because, I mean, that is the key, right? Because if you try to focus too much on any one of your weapons, it makes you easier to defend.
Exactly.
I think right now while people are projecting Texas offense to be a very prolific offense because they have so many different ways to beat you offensively, and it's not really – unfortunately, it has nothing to do with the running game. We're talking about the passing game here mostly, where all these really high-level weapons are for Texas. Getting back to Quinn Ewers, one thing also, just doing some research that I found, nearly a third of, you go look at it, 30% of Quinn Ewers' yardage gain came on throws behind the line of scrimmage. That's like nearly a third, basically nearly a third of all of his yardage. And that's the highest percentage, by the way, of any Power 5 quarterback. So there were training wheels on, Quinn Ewers last season. I do think this upcoming season, you're going to see more RPOs from Quinn Ewers because that's also kind of a combination of the quick game and the running game. And I think you're going to see more play-action pass from Quinn Ewers. Even if it has nothing to do with the running game being successful, I think you see the play-action pass and the RPO numbers go up next season because I think they're going to try to, whether you like it or not, Sark's going downtown.
Yeah.
He's already said he's not going to stop throwing that deep ball.
What'd he
He
say?
wants that deep ball,
There
baby.
it is.
He's like Pookie. He's going to chase that deep ball. But if he connects on it, I'll admit it is a game changer for the offense. It is a psychological weapon, if you will, for the offense. All right, getting back to the list. You got one more Longhorn on the list, and that's number 86 on the list, A.D. Mitchell. He's the 10th wide receiver on the list, but the 86th overall ranked player. Remember, he came over from Georgia. This is a guy that started 15 games for Georgia and played in 21 of them. Georgia has one of the best rosters in the country. So
Yep.
you can start at any position at Georgia. You got some juice. And A.D. Mitchell's got plenty of it. So they are really high on him. Remember, we said that On3 ranked Texas wide receiver room as the second best wide receiver room in the country. And that's because they love A.D. Mitchell, and they're not even talking about guys like, we talk about Jay Witt all the time. We love Jay Witt. The country doesn't really know about Jay Witt. Jonte Cook's a really good young wide receiver. We talked about young DeAndre Moore. Hell, we haven't even got into some of the veteran wide receivers that Texas, still has
Casey
competing for
Kane.
spots. Yeah, guys like that. So
Yeah.
it is, and yeah, I mean, I'm with you. So I think Texas wide receiver room is deep, whether it's the second best wide receiver room in the country behind Ohio State. That's what On3 says. Hopefully that is something that we get to see materialize on the field next season.
We need that to materialize if the team is going to have success. Going back to what you said about the unknown of the running game, one thing we do know, the wide receiver room is deep. They have opportunities to make some big plays, but the quarterback's got to get them the ball.
He does.
The quarterback has to have enough time to get him the ball, but he's also got to make some decisions that are not as slow to develop, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
They got to be quicker decisions.
Exactly.
One of the guys that we didn't even talk about is Ryan Niblett, too. He's coming in from high school. He's been running track and doing other things.
Speed
At his
demon.
Another guy that can stretch the field. So, yeah, I'm with you on that, and I'm excited to see what Sark can draw up. And I love the fact of what you say. Are we going to see Coach Steven or are we going to see Coach Sark? And that's going to be the biggest question because the chess matches is not going to be, hey, who do we need to get the ball to? The chess match is going to be, are you going to continue to throw to a guy that has a broken hand because you haven't made the adjustment to look at everyone else?
Yeah.
You have weapons.
I totally agree. Can he spread the ball around enough to force the defense to really be, honestly, to be almost confused about who to prioritize when they're building a game plan defensively?
No doubt.
Do you take away Xavier Worthy and double him, or you take away J.T. Sanders? Or are you worried about, on the other side, Isaiah Neyor as a deep threat? Do you put a safety on the top of that deep threat, or you let your guy go one-on-one to deep threat? So almost forcing defense to pick a poison. Last year, that was not the case. And in the passing game, anyway, he didn't spread it out enough. You should have used Bijan more in the passing game. We know that too. Here's a little nugget before we move on here. Of the 30 most targeted FBS wide receivers, Xavier Worthy, third lowest completion percentage, lowest single season receiving yards, third lowest yards per target, and the fewest receiving yards per game. Of the 30 most targeted FBS wide receivers last season, X-Man, third lowest completion percentage, lowest single season receiving yards, third lowest yards per target, and the fewest receiving yards per game. Because he became too obsessed with Xavier Worthy and force-feeding him the football. I agree. Xavier Worthy is a damn good wide receiver. There's no question. Nobody's saying he's not.
Right.
But there are other dynamic weapons. And if you spread the ball out enough, you'll force the defense to have to make that, that tough choice.
Yes.
Of,
right.
Are we going to really we're going to double X-Man every down and leave everybody else one-on-one?
I don't like that, Coach.
We really trust our linebacker and safety one-on-one with J.T. Sanders? We really every down? Or are we going to change it up down to down depending on the circumstance? So last year, teams just decided to double X-Man almost every down.
Right.
And they were right. And I just gave you the numbers. They were right.
And that's because he kept trying to throw to him.
They won the chess match.
Yep.
This year, Sark needs to become a chess master. He's got to win that chess match.
Yeah.
All right. So that's by the way, yeah. So no J.T. Sanders, by the way.
None.
And no Jalen Ford.
No Jalen Ford. That's the
The
shocker.
Jalen Ford disrespect continues here, ladies and
Can
gentlemen.
we let Jimmy Butler talk to Jalen Ford?
Exactly.
Man, if Jimmy
it out
Butler
there.
talks to Jalen Ford, he's going to win the Heisman on defense.
No, seriously.
And he going to use that big face coffee.
Man, I mean, Jalen Ford, does he need more of a chip on his shoulder because
I love it.
he got disrespect? We know the disrespect came earlier this year when he didn't win Defensive Player of the Year in the Big 12. And I'm a lot of Longhorn fans out there. I thought, man, there's no doubt he was going to win Defensive Player of the Year. It was a no-brainer. Well, turns out we were all wrong about that.
Yeah.
And this is a guy that had 4 interceptions, which were 4 more than the Defensive Player of the Year in the Big 12. He had 3 forced fumbles, which was 1 more than the Defensive Player of the Year in the Big 12. 2 recovered fumbles, 2 more than the Defensive Player of the Year in the Big 12. He had 70 more tackles total, 39 more assisted tackles, 31 more solo tackles. And I know NUDK was almost a beast, but man, Jalen Ford. He broke the. I think he tied the record for Derek Johnson when he had he had Defensive Player of the Week 3 times, or the honor 3 times awarded to him.
Yes.
So I believe that tied the Derek Johnson record from like 2004. I don't understand how he didn't win an award, and I don't understand how he's not among the 100 best players in college football.
Come on.
They have basically there were 7 linebackers listed, and he wasn't one of them. Now, Pro Football Focus had him listed as their 7th linebacker. So
that's the part that's the part that's ridiculous to me, because we've all seen it, right? We know where the talent is and what's going on, but you sit there and you're like, wait a minute, how are you not one of the best players in college football?
Yeah.
He didn't get the Big 12, so the Big 12 ain't give him love either, so I understand.
JT Sanders, 3 tight ends made it, and he didn't make it. I don't understand that either.
Yeah.
I don't get that. Something I do get is the Apple leasing business model, folks, because it is a great business model, a business model that's all about you, all about the customer. We know it can be really frustrating trying to find a partner you can trust when it comes to buying a new car, when it comes to leasing a new car. You're spending a lot of money. You want to make sure you spend it with somebody who's going to make sure you get the best bang for your buck, going to make sure that the customer satisfaction is their top priority. That's what Apple leasing is all about. Now, you can do a lot of work looking for the right price and looking for the right car and looking for, all the different things that you want on your car, looking for the right price, like right payment. But my friends at Apple Leasing, they can do all that for you. They can do all the hard work. They can find the price you want. They can find the payment you want, and they can find the car that you want. That's why you need to reach out to them. All it takes is one phone call, 512-346-9977. One phone call, or just go click on Apple Leasing's website, appleleasing.com, and you could get a quote on any make or model vehicle that you want. You can even get an estimate on the value of your trade-in right over the phone. It's really simple, and somebody who knows that firsthand is my man, Mike Harge.
It is very simple, and they do make it all easy for you. As my man Rob Abers just told you, you can lease any make and model. You can get all the bells. You can get all the whistles, anything you are looking for, and they can find a way to make it where it is in your budget. Everybody's always wondering if leasing is really good. Yes, leasing is good. It's so good, I've done it 3 times, and I couldn't be happier. That's what they call repeat customers. You go in there, you have a good time. If I'm not having a good time with you, I'm not going to use you. But what I do, I use Apple Leasing. Whether you want to give them a call or you want to follow them online, you can go to 512-346-9977 or go to appleleasing.com. Put in the quote, put in the car that you want. They will make sure that they go and find it. Anywhere, anytime. These are good people. And he always talks about, I'm leasing cars and making friends. He's got a friends for life in me, and that's what he wants to do with you. Go to appleleasing.com today.
All right, we come back. We'll get into Harsh Knock Life. What you got coming up for the people?
I'm going to talk a little bit of baseball. Not high school baseball. I know everybody's kind of looking at it like, man, there's a lot of baseball going on. But I want to talk about the MLB and the reason why some teams need to make moves. It is embarrassing.
All right, we'll get into that. Hardball with Hardball coming up on Harsh Knock Life right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Austin is a beautiful city. We all know that. Thanks in no small part to our good friends over at Ironworkers Local 482. They've been helping shape this great city since 1935. You see the labors of their love all over this great city in iconic landmarks, exquisite landmarks like DKR Stadium and the Pennybacker Bridge. And as our city continues to grow and thrive, so do our friends over at Ironworkers Local 482. They don't go to the office, they build it. So if you're looking for an exciting new career, you can become a member of Ironworkers Local 482 and accept the challenge of becoming the best version of yourself while helping shape Austin's economic development. Right now, they're hiring over 3,000 people. That's right, over 3,000 people for a huge project right here in Central Texas. And you can become a valued member of Ironworkers Local 482 and take pride in the type of teamwork and craftsmanship that helps shape the future of our great city. Maximize your potential and be your best self today. Simply apply at ironworkers482.org. That's ironworkers482.org.
I'm Mike Lowry. Welcome back to a 512 edition of Ball Don't Lie. It's your boy, Hardball Harge. You can follow me on Twitter at Hardball Harge. You can follow my man, Rob Babers, at Rob Babers. And, of course, you can follow the man behind the glass at It's Patrick Davis. We also love it when you're a part of the show. Hit us up on the Specs text line, 512-337-3776. And we've had a lot of conversation that's been going on about the University of Texas baseball team, how they've been challenged and looking to possibly win a share of the Big 12 conference with a possible sweep. They obviously need some help. Had a great night last night. We're probably looking at one of the top pitchers in the country as well as the Big 12. And my man Lucas Gordon went out there and played great, pitched great, was competing, and it got lost because of the fact that the Longhorns won the game 12-2 with a 3 home run performance by Porter Brown. I got an opportunity to interview Porter Brown last week after a big game by him and the University of Texas baseball team. And during the broadcast, I had told Craig Way Porter Brown had hit a ball the opposite field as far as I've seen some guys hit it to right field. Well, last night, Dylan Campbell hit a ball to left field like he was supposed to, and he challenged it. But the fact of the matter is, Porter Brown has done a great job as coming over to the University of Texas, and Texas has a chance to play for a shot at the Big 12 championship. So that's been a lot of fun. I talked about high school baseball, got a chance to go out and see some really high-quality baseball, and it's a plus for the Central Texas area to be able to see this many teams continue to move on, because I know how tough it is, and for a long time, Houston and Dallas were the teams that you always had to beat if you wanted to be considered good, because there's a lot to choose from there. But we've also seen a lot of guys and girls move into this area, and it's kind of helped grow baseball even more so. There's been a lot of good talent that has been here, but it's got an opportunity to grow a lot here recently. Seen it in softball. Now we're seeing it in baseball. We've seen it in football. There was a stat that I got a chance to see last night. Brett Beatty was coming up, former Lake Travis Cavalier baseball player who's now playing for the Mets. And they had posted a picture of guys that had come out of Lake Travis that are now playing at very high professional levels. Baker Mayfield, Garrett Wilson, Brett Beatty now, and the list goes on and on. So it's pretty cool to watch and see the growth here in this area. But an area that doesn't have a lot of growth, and we are still trying to figure this out, is Oakland, California. Oakland A's baseball team. We've had a conversation multiple. E40 right there from Vallejo. From Vallejo. MC Hammer.
Oh, that's right.
He was a bat boy. Don't forget, MC Hammer got his nickname from the Oakland A's baseball team, where he was a bat boy.
That's a nice little nugget right there.
But for years, you've always seen the Oakland A's. They've been very competitive, but they couldn't stay in the big market. They couldn't stay with the big name players. We saw the movie Moneyball. We saw how they were trying to piece things together. We also had the story earlier this year where I was talking about the Mets had to move broadcast booths because they had a possum in there. They was living in there. He said there was a strong stench, and they just decided they were going to move us to another part of the stadium to do our show. And it was like, well, what happened? And Ron Darling was like, wait, what? We're moved because there's possums in this booth?
Look, it was a family.
A family of possums.
Family of them living in
You've
there.
heard about it in multiple stadiums, but mostly you hear it all the time when it comes to the Oakland A's. And now to put even more salt on the wound when it comes to the Oakland A's, on Monday, May 16th, the Oakland A's drew, this is the major leagues, by the way, they drew 2,064 fans.
Wow.
2,000.
What's the capacity of this?
I think they hold 40,000, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And here's the other part of it. The Round Rock Express have had 30,000 300 in a AAA ballpark. They've had 8,000. I was at a game where they had over 10,000 people at the Dale Diamond.
Hell, how many people went to the Round Rock Wrestling game?
It seemed like there was 10,000 there last night. You know what? As a matter of fact,
1,000 there, right?
as a matter of fact, I believe last night's attendance could rival what I saw for the Oakland A's on May 16th. It is embarrassing.
That's crazy.
It is probably they are probably one of the worst baseball teams right now. And the attendance is giving that to you. And remember, they also had a part where they were going to have a protest in the team leaving by going to the game. It was like, what? Like, what is happening with the Oakland A's organization? It is so bad for a major league team in a major city where you've had Vida Blue, Dave Stewart, Jose Canseco, Mark McGuire, Carney Langsford. You've had Tony La Russa as one of the managers. You've had multiple teams of the Oakland A's that were represented to be able to go to the next level. They have had playoff games. The movie Moneyball was made because they were piecing players together.
It's about
It's showing how they're about. Yes, but I'm curious, where's the money going?
What do you mean? It's a billionaire owns it, right?
I don't even know if he's a billionaire. I think that's why they're about to make that move because
Really?
everybody's looking at him and saying, like,
If-
you
believe
can't
it's a-
compete.
It's the guy who inherited Gap.
If
So the
you're-
guy who owned it originally was the guy who owned Gap.
Oh, so he probably used to be a billionaire.
Yes, and just like with
So
Gap.
Jeff Bezos put Gap out of business and everything
Exactly.
else. That's crazy. If you're a professional team and you're a professional owner of one of the major three, like in one of the major three professional sports in America, and you're not a billionaire, that's probably, unless you got the Packers formula where you're like publicly owned, that's probably a problem.
Right.
That's a problem.
That's the other part of it, too.
That's a problem.
Now, revenue sharing. Why am I sharing with you?
Yeah, that's an issue, man.
You're not bringing anything to the table.
Yeah, I agree with that. They got to find some way to and I know that what that franchise has got to be worth. I don't know what it's worth, but it's got to be worth.
No, it's going to be worth a lot more in Vegas. He's going to move the team there
Yeah.
and then
Yes.
sell it. No, but he's just basically a cheapskate
Cheap
who is
billionaires.
ruining the game of baseball for his own personal gain. He has no care for anybody in life except for himself.
And here's
And
the
that is why he is going to ruin the city of Oakland having baseball.
That is
to move
wild.
it to Las Vegas because it'll up the valuation, a new stadium that Vegas will help pay for, and then he'll be able to sell the team for a massive increase.
the and I hate doing this to my man Gino. I love you, Gino.
Do it.
The Kansas City Royals are 14-31, and they don't have the worst record in baseball. Their record is 14-31. They are 10.5 games out of first place. They are not the worst team in baseball. The Oakland A's are 10-35 and 17 games out of first place, and they have a winning percentage of 22%.
Yeah, it's an embarrassment.
It is
says he's worth $2.4 billion.
Yeah.
That's what
He's going to be
that's what
worth.
Forbes says.
He's going to be worth more because of the fact he's about to sell this team, and you can't. You're worth that much money, and you're not going to get free agents. You've been trading all. They are the Montreal Expos of the olden days.
He owns an MLS team too.
And let's see what their attendance is too.
San Jose Earthquakes
Yeah, their probably attendance is probably worse.
and Scotland Celtic FC.
Yeah, this is like
He owns multiple sports franchises, and he's cheap with all of them.
the Celtics. I don't even the Celtics. Excuse me, the Celtic. I don't
Celtic,
even
yes.
know if they're
Celtic.
even any good.
Yeah.
I took them the other way. I went the other way every time I see the Celtics playing.
Wow.
I'll take the other team. It is embarrassing, and the fact that they are looking to go to Las Vegas tells you everything that you need to know. I would sprint to Las Vegas ASAP because I think you will get good fan base because people want to travel there, and you make it affordable because there's so many games. Football, the ticket's outrageous because there's only X amount of games there. WNBA basketball, you can probably get a good ticket rate because nobody's going to see that much. You want to do the same thing with the Las Vegas Knights. When the Las Vegas Knights first went there, they were an expansion team.
Yeah.
They had a lot of people show up, and people travel there. So nobody's traveling to Oakland to go watch the Oakland A's.
No.
And you are not putting a good product out there. I feel bad for my boy. My boy is one of the top scouts for them. I feel bad. The GM, the assistant GM, I played ball with. And it's like, what are y'all doing? They don't even answer my calls no more because I'm curious to what's going on. I'm like, hey, man,
Like,
what
we
are
know
y'all
what
trying to do? He's like, I know Harge is calling me for a reason. He ain't calling to say hi. They're not even answering text messages anymore because I'm lighting them up every week.
That is, I don't. And how long has he owned this team?
That is another question. I do not know,
Okay.
but this is.
I believe his parents owned it before him.
So are we talking about a family legacy type
See,
thing here?
this is.
Okay.
I don't even like baseball, but it's cool to be the owner. You
No,
know
it
what I'm
is.
saying?
Oh yeah,
Like, yeah.
Especially when you got that kind of money. This year, like usually owners only they're criticized because they're almost too involved.
Yep, the
because they care
Steinbrenners.
too much.
The Steinbrenners
Yes,
are
Jerry
one.
Jones, whatever. His is the opposite. Like he don't give a damn. So it's like if you don't
Right.
care, then sell the team to somebody else who cares. I think you'd like to have the opposite end
Right.
of the spectrum issue where our owner is too involved. He's just all in the business.
He's trying to figure out
He's trying to
why
figure
we're
out-
not doing
yes.
this, why we're not doing that.
Honestly, that is
Yeah.
a way better issue to have than this issue, which he is just
Yeah.
totally basically considered himself almost disassociated from the franchise and treats them like a bad business.
Yeah, awful business. Like
Yeah.
I don't know the model,
Yeah,
or
it's a
maybe
bad
it is.
business.
It's like you just really want to let it all go.
Well, then, like you said,
Just let it
he'll
all go.
sell it once he moves to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
It was not his own, but he bought it in 2005.
So he bought it.
He bought it in 2005.
Okay.
Yes, he is making money because he is part owner of the Gap. Because he is.
I don't know how much he's making from the Gap still. That's amazing.
I mean, you made enough money before, and then you just got to buy
Yes, sir.
teams, and then you profit off of the teams.
Where's the Gap still open?
I don't
Is there
even
a
know.
Gap
If
in
it's
Barton
probably
Creek
at
Mall?
the. It's probably at the outlets.
Is there a
It's
Gap
probably
in
at
I
Barton
mean,
the
Creek
mall.
Mall?
there's
I don't
probably
go to the
still a
mall
Gap
lot.
online.
I don't go to. It's like really? People order the Gap online? That's interesting.
I mean, I guess.
He's like, not me, but some people. do.
I mean, I didn't go to the Gap when it existed.
I mean, exactly. Well, I think maybe way back in the day, but I didn't even know the Gap was still a thing. I know Jeff Bezos is putting malls out of
Well,
business.
I think like they own multiple brands too. Like because
Okay,
Gap, I think
under the
own
Gap
like
umbrella.
Old Navy and Banana Republic and all those
brands
that are
going
kind
out
of
of
in there.
business.
But no, but like
Like
you
look
know,
at this. Look at this picture right here that
but
we
I
just
get you
got.
though. No, you're right.
There's nobody there. This is a game. Look at all these people behind home plate. They playing warm up. You can't tell me you're trying to fight traffic to get there.
No, it's like I said, it's pretty amazing. I can't believe that he is that right. He cares that little about the franchise and has that little pride in something that he owns.
Yep.
So
It's crazy. And it is pronounced Celtic FC. They're definitely one of the most recognized football clubs in the world and are in first place in the Scottish Premier.
oh, there you go. So
Yeah.
okay, there you go.
Yeah,
so
that's-
one of his
So
pro
this is a
teams-
write-off team right here for the
Yeah.
Oakland A's. Like somebody else said, they are a tax write-off. Thanks, Irving LFC fan.
Okay, thank you, Irving LFC Santa. So I'm with you. So what do we know if he is investing like with that team?
That may
and
be.
spending money with that team?
well, also
we need to
to
do some research.
to
on that.
move a team, you have to have a low enough attendance because there's rules and regulations that if you have a team where people are still coming to see them, you can't just move the team. You have to basically have to get it to where the buildings run down, the city is not supporting you, and then you can go to the MLB and go, hey, I need to move my team. The city doesn't like me. So owners will have done in the past multiple
Like
times.
somebody said to us, like the movie Major
Yes,
League.
exactly. So
Yeah.
you basically tank your own team in the efforts of, I don't want to be in Oakland anymore. I'd rather move to some other place. I'm going to purposely tank my team, tank my building, take everything away so I can move to another place.
Not get rodent control. They need pest wranglers out there.
Okay.
Pest
They
wranglers.
need more than pest wranglers.
Well, if that's the plan, then it's working.
Yeah.
How
'Cause
long has this been going on is the question.
I guess since he bought it in 2005.
So we talking about a 15,
They just kept drafting
18-year
well.
tank or whatever you're talking
Well,
about?
because Moneyball worked the beginning, and Moneyball
Yeah.
worked until
So when was Moneyball?
everybody's trying to do it now.
When did a Moneyball officially end for him? Because you're right, Moneyball was actually a way to get the best value and a bargain on players.
Yeah, but now everybody does it.
But now everybody does it, so it doesn't have the same unique value that it once did. I don't know. Like I said, Hart's a good point. I don't know how Major League Baseball other owners feel about him and what he's doing. But if Patrick's right, and they're just trying to tank and be as bad as possible, as long as possible, and have the facilities be as terrible as possible, so that they can move the team. Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
And now
also,
we're here. We're there. We're
and
rock
Hart's-
bottom now.
Hart's can attest. He's not the only cheap owner in MLB.
No, not at
A
all.
lot of small market owners.
That's why
are super
Montreal
cheap.
left. That's why they went to Washington.
Okay, so
There's a lot of them.
he's going to Vegas then.
Yeah.
And you know what? The owners want him to go to Vegas. All the leagues want to be in Vegas. They all
Yeah.
want to be in Vegas now. All right. Hell,
I
sometimes
want to be in Vegas right now.
only for like a couple of days.
Yeah,
though.
I mean, can't be there for a
I don't
long.
want to be in Vegas for a long time.
I don't want to be there for a long time, man.
Vegas is something I actually can do for like a couple of nights, and then I pretty much get my
Yeah.
fill.
Got to keep it moving.
Because you don't sleep in Vegas.
No.
You go there, you never sleep. You never really get like these meals that are really extravagant, but it's like, yeah.
I don't believe in a lot of quality anything over there because you've done too much of it. You're not getting quality sleep. You can't do quality gambling because you're nervous about your money. You can't go quality drinking because you forget that you are in Vegas.
Well, that's
and
the
that-
key. If you
and that-
gamble, you get to drink for free.
Well, but you also don't know how much you're drinking because of the oxygen that's being pumped in there. And the next thing you know, you are beat up.
That is true.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, beware. Buyer beware.
Buyer beware.
All right, we come back. We'll get into this story about Micah Parsons. There's a trend developing with Micah Parsons, and I don't think Cowboys fans like it. He's so damn good that y'all have ignored it. But I'm going to bring it up to you Cowboys fans and force our resident Cowboys fans to address this abomination.
Come on.
Right next, we come back right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Let me tell you about my favorite tequila, my go-to tequila, Hot Cat Tequila. By now, you know that my go-to tequila stands for cinnamon, agave, and tequila, and the recipe is just as simple and brilliant and delicious. Cinnamon, agave, nectar, and tequila. That's why it's so light and so smooth. It's a tequila lover's dream, and if you're not a fan of tequila, well, Hot Cat Tequila will turn you into a fan of tequila. It will turn any event into a party, and every party feels like a celebration. So celebrate and turn up with Hot Cat Tequila, and once you try Hot Cat, you'll never ever go back to that old cinnamon whiskey or that cheap tequila you ordered rounds of when you were trying to get the party started. Turn up your party with Hot Cat Tequila. It's the perfect way to pregame for all the big games, concerts, festivals, or any night on the town with family and friends. It's best served cold for a quick round of shots or to sip on the rocks. So visit cattequila.com. That's cattequila.com to find a store near you that sells Hot Cat Tequila or to find a bar near you that serves Hot Cat Tequila. Toast and turn up with Hot Cat Tequila. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Shout out to the Salon for Men, our new sponsor for Off the Record. All right, gentlemen, you know what, Patrick, we got to get into this with Harch, man, because I've seen this happen now a lot, and I've seen it being discussed at a few places, or at least online, at a few places online. Micah Parsons, who is beloved, might end up winning Defensive Player of the Year this year. Have you noticed that he has a tendency to bandwagon different sports teams?
He's draking it.
He is draking it.
You
There's
beat me to it, Patrick.
There's very much of that. Okay, so
a lot of that.
A lot. Okay, you've noticed this then.
Oh, my goodness. Have I ever?
For those who haven't, he was wearing a Boston Celtics jersey, and he was seen wearing it at the game when they were playing against Philadelphia in the East semifinals. And by the way, the man travels. He's definitely got a private jet access. He's jet setting all over the country.
Jerry,
right?
give me the plane.
Right.
Yeah, he's on the move
right.
for
It's
sure.
Jerry's jet. That's what it is. It's Jerry's jet.
He is definitely on the move.
Hey, smart move, Jerry. That's how you make sure you keep him.
Yeah.
You want to be a Cowboy for life with access to that jet. But he's also been, and he's also been seen in wearing the jersey of the 76ers.
Yeah.
He wore both.
Yeah.
Now, I will give him this. And so, like, I'm not a Jersey guy. I will say some guys are fans of players, not teams.
Okay.
So
that's fair.
So if he says, look, man, I'm an Embiid fan. I'm a fan of Jason Tatum. I love these guys because these are the best at their game, and I'm the best at my game.
Okay.
I get that. I wouldn't be wearing the jerseys, but I get that concept because I know enough people that didn't grow up with a team that are just fans of players.
Okay. All right. So, Patrick, I'm glad you're throwing it out there. That it could just be, hey, man, these are my guys. I'm supporting my guys. Also, there's several tweets. One tweet has surfaced of him from a couple of years ago referring to the Warriors as my Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
They say my Warriors.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Harch, do you think he's a bandwagoner? As I like him, Patrick, but he's draking it. Is he draking it?
He has some Drake tendencies right now. He has a lot of Drake tendencies right now. And it's look.
He's worn a Mavs jersey too. Just so
He's won he's won
everything.
Yes. He has worn every jersey. He wore a Rangers jersey, he wore a Mavs jersey. I haven't seen him wear a Dallas Stars jersey, but I have seen him wear Philly, seen him wear Boston Celtics.
Seen him wear a Rangers jersey?
He's in
your
mix.
town, the Dallas. That's cool.
I see that. Yeah, he's been there. He's the guy.
And then where you? Guess what? I guess he's doing where he's born. Is he born?
He's a Philly guy.
He's a
Philly guy.
Pennsylvania guy.
Then what's the Boston thing then? Do we know the reason for the Boston thing?
You know Jason Tatum, my
You
partner,
can explain
man.
away the Philly thing. That's hometown stuff. You can explain
they're
away.
competitors. They're against each other.
I agree.
You can't be rolling around with both.
Can't do both.
You can't.
Can't do both.
Ride with it.
Yeah. You can
Yeah, you can see your partner.
Yeah, you see your partner.
Look, I seen Odell Beckham Jr. at every game. I ain't seen him in nobody's jersey.
Why can't you just tweet about your boy? Be like, hey,
Right.
man, I just want to show
I'm
support for my boy.
Exactly.
He about to ball out tonight.
Yes.
Well, and I'll give him the worst part of the Celtics one is it looks like he bought it at the game. Like he's wearing like a flannel shirt underneath.
Yeah.
It's not a,
Oh, you just have button up too.
like a button up
Yes.
flannel shirt. It
Yeah.
looks like he got there and was like,
Wasn't no T-shirt
Dad,
underneath
Dad,
it.
can I get a jersey, Dad? Dad?
Maybe somebody gave it to us. That's a good point. Maybe somebody gave it to him at the time.
Yeah, put it down. I've had jerseys on me and set them down. I don't put them on immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm a fat guy, so I don't put any clothes around people in case they're too tight. It's an embarrassing situation when you're trying to pull them over your gut. And you're
fat
just like, nah.
guy in the little.
Nah, it fits perfect. It's great.
It's my favorite one. It's my favorite one.
No, just throwing it out there. It's been a conversation people are having, but hey, we still love Micah. We just had to-
Micah having fun, man. Micah's out there. He's like
He
you
is.
said, he's jet setting.
He's
He's
all over
getting
the
to be
place.
around it. He's still getting his workouts in.
Oh no,
No
he
matter
does.
where,
right
he's
here
getting
at the
his workout.
collective.
That's right. He's
Hey.
getting his workout in and keeps it moving.
And Micah, as long as you can be a front runner in your Cowboys uniform and win some games there,
We can
no
work
one
with
will
that.
care about anything else.
Exactly.
That's a
But
great point too.
I agree with you. He is draking it.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. He's not
If he goes to L.A. and
not-
have a LeBron jersey on this
There you
week,
go. That's
then
full-
we're going to know
then
that.
you're full on
You're
Drake.
full Drake.
right
Hey,
now,
if-
he's just kind of half drinking.
If he's telling you about how him and Jokic have been tight for years, I'm just
The man's, hey, somebody say he's networking on the
Yeah.
Spectech side. Maybe
Yep.
he's just
Maybe
networking.
he is.
Getting in good with everybody.
Yep.
All right, we come back. We'll get into NBA playoff review. We'll review the game last night. Also, we'll talk about the death of Jim Brown, one of the all-time great icons in American sports. All that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn.
Mike Harge here, and I want you to know that I am very excited to be covering the premiere of The Ride Tuesday, May 23rd at the Alamo Drafthouse. That's the one on South Lamar. The Ride is an 8-episode docuseries that followed the Austin Gamblers as they navigated through the league's inaugural season. Budding rivalries, exhilarating highs, and challenging lows through the PBR Team Series. PBR's newest team-based competition. The Ride is coming to Prime Video on May 30th. And you can see the Gamblers live in action August 25th through 27th at the Moody Center. You can get your tickets today, and you can go to austingamblers.com. That is austingamblers.com.
Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a 512 Friday edition of Ball Don't Lie. That's when Patrick plays jams from very talented human beings that you have a chance to hear live right here in the ATX. Who we jamming right now, Patrick?
This is Curtis Lee, and he's playing Saturday night at Hotel Vegas, and you can see him on the new season of 512 Studios Live, 9:30 p.m. Saturday night on the CW Austin.
Ooh, big time. I like that. Nice. My man Patrick always keeping you in the know. You can sound really cool in front of all your friends, like you know all the really cool artists in town and where they're going to play. And then you actually can take your lady or your man, all right, whoever you want to take on a date to some of these really cool spots. So go check out hornfm.com if you miss any of these suggestions for 512 Friday. My man Patrick always gets them posted up there for you. You can go check that out as well. All right. You can hit us up on the Specs text line, 512-337-3776. That's the number to the Specs text line. Harge is at Hardball Harge in the Twitterverse. Patrick Davis at It's Patrick Davis. I'm at Rod Babers in the Twitterverse. We're off early at 6:15 for Texas baseball. But in the meantime, we'll get into the NBA here and review the playoffs last night. The Nuggets with a big win to take a 2-0 series lead on the Lakers. And then we'll preview the game tonight coming up between the Celtics and the Miami Heat. Jimmy Buckets. Playoff Jimmy looking to show up once again. They already stole one on the road. Usually these games, if I had to put any money on it, I'd put money on the Celtics. But the Celtics, like I said, they play with their food too much. But game twos, when a team loses when a home team loses game one, I believe that game two, most of the time, they end up winning. And the margin of victory, actually, is really what kind of stands out. The last 16 game twos, when a road team won game one, have been won by the home team. Average margin of victory, 17 points.
Interesting.
Yeah. So usually it's a very lopsided win by that home team because they're desperate. You lose 2 home games, then you got to go on the road, all right, to play a team when they're up 2-0. Bill, talk about a Herculean task ahead of you. So I think the desperation and the urgency will be on the side of the Celtics. All right, we'll come back. We'll talk a little bit about that coming up here later on. But I want to get into this the Jim Brown passing a little bit too before we start talking about the Nuggets with the 2-0 series lead on the Lakers. Jim Brown did pass away today. The great Jim Brown. He was 87 years old, I believe. And we were just talking about how, Jim Brown was from another era of football, but still considered one of the GOATs of football and one of the first athletes, that I can think of, just researching obviously before my time, that left their sport early at their relative peak, or at least close to their peak.
Yeah.
That now it happens actually, a lot more
Barry
players.
Sanders.
Yeah, Barry Sanders did. Patrick
Calvin
Willis
Johnson.
did it. Yeah,
Calvin
exactly.
Johnson.
Yeah.
All Detroit players. Finding a way to leave early.
That's a good point about that, too. That may be a common denominator. But, you see it a lot more now than you did back then. And back then, he was in his prime and decided that he wanted to leave the game of football, and not only left the game of football to retire from it, but pursued a career intentionally, deliberately in Hollywood. Wanted to become an actor.
Yep.
Wanted to cross over into acting. And although there have been players that have done it before, we got a Specs text line. We got a lot of people talking about the different players who decided to pursue acting, who were former professional athletes. And I know there was some out there. But for Jim Brown, for him to leave the sport right at the point where he was considered one of the best players, if not the best player in the sport, and then leave to pursue acting. I don't know if we've seen that happen. I know that people, and by the way, he was, I don't want to say prolific, but he probably has 40, 50 films on his resume.
He's done he did a really good job in life.
It's hard to find
after you walk away from it.
Hard to find a lot of actors who have a lot of actors who made that type of transition from professional sports to acting, who have more credits on their IMDb or on their filmography. Because I think I didn't count it, but I think he's like at 40 or 50 or something like that. So it's, like I said, he has such an impact, and his legacy left such an impact in a lot of different realms. The Hollywood realm, pro sports, where he was considered a GOAT. Hell, some people even bring up his lacrosse.
Yep.
Where the lacrosse community, I know we don't talk a lot about lacrosse on the show, but the lacrosse community considers him to be a Mount Rushmore figure, like a GOAT.
Yeah.
Among the lacrosse community. I don't know a ton about lacrosse, but to be a GOAT in multiple sports, that alone sets you apart and makes you an icon.
Yeah. I mean, and we can also put he was a major civil rights activist as well.
Yep.
I mean, you got to think this guy played 1957 and 1965. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 is what's credited of ending segregation.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
most of his career he was spent in segregation.
And,
And to be able to do that, be known as the best player in the game where a lot of people didn't like you, and then having to fight through that, going into acting, being an advocate for a lot of things throughout the rest of his life is yet another category that he was very influential in throughout his years.
And he made a movie with Raquel Welch. Don't forget about that. You know what I'm saying? All them great things that he did.
Raquel Welch.
But he was definitely one of those guys that he pushed the envelope early in his career, made a huge change to Rod's point about, I'm going to go ahead and give up my football career, get into the acting, and I'm going to be a major part of it. As you said, Patrick, walking in the civil rights with
That's amazing.
Martin Luther King, also being there for Muhammad Ali when he was going through his time. He was with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar when he was going from Lou Alcindor. He got a chance to be around all of that and continue to be the voice to a lot of strong black men where a lot of people didn't want to talk about it. A lot of people didn't want to be involved. Jim Brown stood there and about being that activist and being out there and trying to make sure that you're moving things in the right direction is something that a lot of people, and I know my grandfather was a huge, huge fan of Jim Brown and was always talking about it and what he meant to a lot of people. Was in a war movie, The Dirty Dozens. Remember that in the very beginning where it was like, man, he was in the mix with everything.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's like I said, he was a very multifaceted human being. And I'm glad Patrick brought up the civil rights element to his legacy, too. That's probably, we don't talk enough about that in that time. But you go look at a lot of the civil rights activists of the time, and there is an interaction on the periphery, if you will, if not directly involved, with Jim Brown. Because he was such an iconic figure of the time. People forget he's basically one of the biggest stars, if not the biggest star in the NFL.
Right.
Like the biggest.
He was the biggest star.
Yeah, now
in the
it's
NFL.
not. It's not what it is today, of course. All right, Major League Baseball was probably the biggest sport in boxing,
And he was there for
bigger
Jackie.
sports. But he was kind of the face of the NFL for some years there, and him retiring early. I mean, it was considered at the time to be a really controversial move. I mean, he was like 30 years old, right?
Yeah.
When he decided to retire and leave the game. And
Barry Sanders' dad told him told Barry he wasn't as good as Jim Brown. Like that's his dad's favorite running back was Jim Brown. So Barry Sanders was up against that while he was growing up, and as great as he was.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's amazing to me when you think about Jim Brown's career, short period of time, how little of just think if he would have stayed in the NFL a little bit longer, what his records would look like.
Yeah, I believe he's got under 13,000 total rushing yards. Yeah. So, and of course, he accomplished a lot. I mean, he's first team All-Pro, I believe, like 8 different times.
Oh, yeah.
Something like that. So, he got
he was three-time MVP.
3 times. So, he accomplished a lot during that time. But if you go look at the overall, his overall rushing numbers, because he retired so early, they're not as prolific now in retrospect when guys are playing, 12 years or however, much longer time than he did. But it is interesting that people still to this day discuss Jim Brown among the GOATs, of running backs, period. Like Jim Brown's up there with Barry Sanders and all the, the great running backs. You're talking about Earl Campbell. Earl Campbell's in that conversation for a lot of people too. But he's still to this day considered to be one of those GOATs. And man, we're talking about a guy that retired in 1966.
Yeah. Right.
Generations they never saw him.
They never
saw him. They had dads brag about Jim Brown, so that's what they know about Jim Brown.
Yeah, and I mean he's the type of guy that there's a story of him thinking about getting into boxing after he retired from football.
I remember that.
And he was friends with Muhammad Ali, so they're like, let's go get in the ring. and see how you do. And he fought Muhammad Ali for a little bit. I was like, yeah, you know what? I don't think boxing's for me.
Yeah, that didn't take long.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he's obviously
Muhammad Ali, who retired a lot of people from boxing.
damn right about that. Yeah. And so yeah, whether you're talking about his legacy, lacrosse or football, or as an actor, he's a sports analyst
Commentator
too.
on the first UFC.
Sports analyst as well. Yeah, I mean, we can attack it from a lot of different angles, or approach it, I should say, from a lot of different angles. But either way, you're talking about an iconic figure, and man, we really don't have enough time
No.
to talk about the greatness of Jim Brown and everything he meant to the sports community, but also, like even Patrick mentioned too, man, as a civil rights activist to the African American community. Hell, even Hollywood, there is a Jim Brown footprint in Hollywood, and there's no doubt that he'll be celebrated over this weekend. We'll have a lot. I'll have some more Jim Brown nuggets, I guarantee you, on Monday, because a ton of them are going to be coming out over the weekend. Stories, great tidbits about Jim Brown. So we'll have some more
And I'll have
celebration of the figure.
Eric, lifetime Longhorn Eric Metcalf also.
Oh,
we'll
nice.
get a chance to talk to him about Jim Brown.
I'm
because
sure
him
he's-
being in
yeah.
Cleveland as long as he was, and him still working for the Cleveland Browns, I'm sure he's got some Jim Brown stories.
Oh, I'm sure he's met Jim Brown a few times.
Yep.
Okay, so there you go. Some Jim Brown discussion, and Jim Brown passing away at the age of 87, so RIP to the legend. All right, let's get to some NBA discussion here, gentlemen. And the win last night for the Nuggets to take a 2-0 series lead against the Lakers. And really, it comes down to Jamal Murray in that fourth quarter. He would not be denied. He had 37 total points, but 23 of those came in the fourth quarter. And the Lakers only scored 24 points. He damn near outscored the Lakers by himself in the fourth quarter. That, by the way, is his fourth 20-plus point fourth quarter in the playoffs, giving him the record. Hell, Michael Jordan only has 2 of them. So it ain't something that's easy to do. Jamal Murray, man, once again showing that the disrespect Jamal Murray and people really not recognizing his talent, it's something that he's on a mission to try to rectify. He did it in the bubble a couple of years ago at those 250-plus point games in the bubble. And this year's playoffs, he's doing the same thing. Once again, showing everyone that he deserves to be considered to be an all-star, which I don't think he's ever made an all-star appearance.
Which is kind of shocking to me, but he also has dealt with a lot of injuries throughout his career. He hadn't been able to finish a full game or a full season. So I could kind of see that where would be able to do that. But goodness gracious, man. This dude has been playing like a man possessed, and you can't ask for anything more than that.
Yeah, his fourth quarter, you go look at it, he scored the final 12 points of the game for Denver. That is the second most consecutive points scored for a team to end a game in the conference finals or the NBA finals in a win in over the last 25 years. And in addition to what he did, he actually started really slow.
Yep.
He missed 12 of his first 17 shots and only had 14 points going into the fourth quarter. But in that fourth quarter, man, he really did show the Lakers that he's someone that they're gonna have to find a formula to stop. No doubt about it, because nobody on the Lakers team, and this is the best defense in the playoffs, by the way, guys. He didn't just lighten up a Lakers team that doesn't have the capacity to stop them. This is the best defense in the playoffs, and Jamal Murray made them look silly.
Did he ever? Yeah. Knocking down free throws, too, being clutch at the end of the game, knowing that they're going to come and foul you, and you being able to stay focused and be tough enough, even though you could tell that they were all gassed last night. Every single one of them at the end of the game, they were having their hands on their knees, bending over, still being able to get there. And the other part of it is, too, knocking down them three-pointers, taking that pick and roll and that pick and pop of whatever it was, that two-man game that they were running, and then being able to be that effective. That's how Joker getting all them assists. He's just passing the ball out, and he's knocking down shots. So those are some big, big moments. And, again, this is a team that hadn't played well. He's been out. He missed last 2 seasons. Joker's been doing it by himself. And now all of a sudden you get that other piece, that Bonnie and Clyde type of player with you that is stepping up in the moment. Now the biggest moment is going to be, can you go on the road and steal a game there?
Lakers are undefeated at home. So
Yep.
it's tough to beat the Lakers there, and the Lakers will be playing with a ton of urgency because they cannot afford to lose Game 3. And, LeBron, I think LeBron is still playing at a high level. We're so spoiled when it comes to our critiques of LeBron. Still almost had a triple-double, had 22, 10 assists, 9 rebounds, 2 blocks, and 4 steals. But I will admit, this is one of the first games where LeBron in stages at times looked old.
Yeah.
He just looked old.
He did. He looked very old.
He's still one of the best players on the planet, but when he missed those layups, those were old man moments. When he missed those 3, he had 3 missed layups in the game.
Underneath the basket.
Yeah, had a breakaway dunk that he just got confused on and then just couldn't figure it out. I'm not saying that this means LeBron's over. I picked the Lakers. Hopefully Lakers can get it together. Right now it looks like they got a long road to hoe. But it reminded me of that. Remember that Tom Brady moment where he forgot it was 3rd down?
Yes.
You remember that moment? Everyone was like, ooh.
He forgot it was 4th down.
He forgot it was 4th down.
He forgot it was 4th down.
He basically thought he had an extra down.
Yeah, he thought he had an extra down.
Yeah, he thought he had an extra down.
Yeah.
And it was a moment where he just looked old.
Yeah.
It just looked like
Just
he was
that
old.
moment.
Just looked like the game had passed him by. He still ended up winning the Super Bowl, I believe, that year. So I'm not saying it's over, but it's just one of those moments where LeBron looked like he was he 38 years old?
Mm-hmm.
He looked
like
every
he
bit of
38.
38 in that game, trying to elevate for some of those layups where he got blocked by the rim one time.
Oh, my goodness.
And just flat out missed it another time. And then, of course, we know how the runaway dunk. He just couldn't figure it out. So you wasted a Rui Hachimura game where, man, he was fantastic. He was 8 of 10 and had 21 points. Wasted another great Austin Reeves game where he was hot from outside, and he had 22 points. When Austin Reeves gives you 22 and Hachimura gives you 21,
you should win that game.
you should win that game.
You
Then
have
you got
to win
LeBron
that
and AD, but when LeBron and AD combine for less than 40 or around 40 and less, then you won't have trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean we've seen that this is basically this series has been the people around the stars have been good enough. Aaron Gordon's played good enough defense. We've seen Michael Porter Jr. hit some shots. Bruce Brown came in and played some good minutes for him. Like the guys around the stars have played pretty well, but they're evening each other out. And so it comes down to the stars. And in the 4th quarter, Jamal Murray has been the star of the 4th quarter because Jokic even looks tired. They all look tired in the 4th quarter, and Jamal Murray has stepped up in that place. And if you're LeBron James, you can't let it be, well, Anthony Davis and Jokic are equaling out, and then it's me and Jamal Murray, and we're losing because everything else is even. And I need to be better than Jamal Murray, and I'm not in the 4th quarter.
That's true. And AD, he didn't pull his weight either in Game 2. They need more from AD and LeBron combined, as Patrick mentioned. See, if the supporting cast is going to cancel each other out, then you guys, the 2 superstars for the Lakers, you have to be elite.
Yes.
AD and LeBron, they're 2-6 now. Or the Lakers, I should say, are 2-6 when AD and LeBron combine for 40 points or less in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So they got to be
extraordinary.
Exactly.
They got to be extraordinary. They got to make sure that they get out there and do what they're supposed to do. And when you got LeBron like that, and again, you talked about it just a second ago, Rod, he's looking 38 years old. He's still almost giving you a triple-double. He's doing certain things, but the leadership last night seemed to fail. I don't know if he was tired. I don't know if he was, looking at this game like, man, I can't believe we're even in this thing because we hadn't played great. But especially because he and AD weren't doing anything, weren't giving that much to him. But there was times last night where I was like, why are you not calling for the ball? Why are you the one that's not getting? There was one time when Austin Reeves was dribbling the ball up the court, and it was a close ball game. I think they were down by 4. Mm-hmm. And Austin Reeves, he dribbled the ball away from LeBron, and LeBron was in front of him on the right side. Austin Reeves just kept dribbling the ball, and LeBron kept calling for it, but Austin Reeves didn't give it to him. And I'm like, that's where LeBron needs to go over there and tell him, give me the ball, and I'll be the playmaker. I'll get it back to you, because that's what he was doing. Mm-hmm. He was kicking it to the other guys so they can shoot, but when LeBron is in front of you and you don't pass it to him, and everybody wants to talk about the Michael Jordan comparison, I guarantee you Mike would have went over there and would almost choked him, talking about why you didn't give me the ball, bro. Like, I'm here on the wing by myself. Give me the ball. And maybe Austin Reeves was like, your jumper is broke right now, shawty. I got to hit that go.
That could have easily been the case because LeBron right now, 1 of 20 on 3-point shots in the fourth quarter in these playoffs.
Yeah.
He has missed 19 straight 3-pointers in the fourth quarter, dating back to game 2 of the first round of this year, gentlemen.
Yeah. That's
That is
not
the
him.
longest streak by any player in the last 25 years in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Right now, his 3-point shot late in the game.
Late in the
he's
game.
38 years old, late in the game. He does not have the legs to
At
hoist it
all.
up there. It is so it is a brick in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And I'm with you. He needs to get to the rim. And then we saw even at the rim at times he's having trouble finishing at the rim.
That rim is tough
So
sometimes.
maybe it's exactly. Maybe it's altitude, 38 plus the altitude, and playing against a really good team. All three of those things. But if LeBron James doesn't pick it up, they're not going to win this series. They got no shot.
And I mean, we'll say I'll
can't.
also throw in when you're a guy like LeBron James, he has the best equipment, the best everything in LA. For best, like he has his whole
Recovery and
regimen for
everything.
recovery
Yeah.
and everything in LA. And when you're on the road in a series, you just don't have all that stuff on the road. So you get access to some stuff and you can, but your recovery mode is a little different when you're playing games with only a day off in between. You like to go, okay, as soon as I get done with the game, I'm here,
Cryo chamber.
and then I'm writing this,
Yeah.
and I'm right, okay, we're
Yeah.
doing this, and I get this amount of sleep, and I go. You don't quite have that same luxury when you're on the road. So I think there's some of that plays into it as well, of when you get this far in where you're like, I need all the help I can get
Yeah.
to be I need my Iron Man suit if I'm going to be 38-year-old LeBron James trying to pretend I'm 28-year-old. I need every piece of science that there is to play like I'm 28 again. And when you're in Denver, you don't have any of that.
That's a great point,
Yeah.
actually. And you know LeBron's got the best of the best at his house.
Yeah.
Got a
You-
little
you know-
science. He basically has that Iron Man lab.
Yeah.
And that's
In
what
his
he goes
basement.
home today. And so we may see a different LeBron James in game 3 where he has a little bit more pep in his step in the fourth quarter, just solely on the fact that he's got his stuff there.
Yeah.
And he can get back a little bit better.
You know what? That's a great theory, and they better hope you're right about that. Because if they're not, hell, man, them
And
Denver
hey,
Nuggets
and
might be trying.
invite Anthony Davis over.
Yeah, exactly. We may be talking about a gentleman's sweep if they don't. Because
Yeah.
I really could see that if LeBron and AD can't seem to get their ish together, and we don't get the best version of both AD and LeBron for the rest of the series, by the way. Lakers definitely.
Oh,
not
they
gonna-
got it. Yeah, they
they're
got their
definitely not
backs
gonna win.
against the wall.
But if we don't get it, even for the next a game or two, look, I'm telling you,
Sweep,
a gentleman's
sweep,
sweep can happen.
Yeah.
And I'll say another thing. If I'm Darvin Ham and I'm trying to get these guys into it, I need to create some conflict in this series. Because with the Warriors, there's natural conflict. They're trash talking. All right, we can hate them. But you see in this series, these teams like each other. They're just playing basketball. They're helping each other up off the court. They don't seem to have animosity towards each other.
No.
And none of these guys are, known to be the biggest trash talkers or anything else. So it makes sense that there's not that animosity in the game. You may have to make that animosity so that you have an extra edge in that fourth quarter of anger and hatred. Because it seems to me the only guy everybody hates is all of these refs. They're taking out all their frustration on the refs and not the other team. And like, man, hate the other team. You need it.
That's a good point, though, about that, because he had it obviously naturally in the Warriors series, because it's natural in that friction. And then you had the Dylan Brooks thing
Yeah.
in the first series.
What do you call it?
Right.
Emotional currency?
Yeah, it worked out
But
good
that's
for him.
why Denver's not saying anything, because they saw
they know.
what happened. They saw how it went down.
Ding,
They're
ding,
like,
ding.
nah, man, just pick them up.
Just
Say
shut-
what's up. Let's get past them and go ahead and talk trash to the next group.
Damn right.
I'm not
yeah.
finna wake him up and tug on that cape.
Yeah, don't poke
Hey,
the
if I'm-
bear.
If I'm Darvin Ham, I'm calling up people. This is Jokic and LeBron's a jerk face.
A jerk face.
Just send Tristan out there and have him elbow somebody and get a
Yeah.
fight going. That's all
Hey,
you need to
have
do.
Tristan sleep with some of their wives. You know he will.
That he can do. Tristan's like, that I can do,
Hey,
coach.
I got you.
I got
I
you.
got
on that
you.
one. I was already working on it anyway. All right, we'll come right back. We got Roger wrap the day. We'll talk little Cowboys on the other side right here on Ball Don't Lie. 104 down the horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. We all love the city of Austin. What's not to love? The beautiful aesthetic appeal is something that's amazing, and it brings people back over and over again to this fantastic city. And thanks in no small part to our skilled craftsmanship over at Iron Workers Local 482, who've been helped shape this great city since 1935. You see the labors of their love all over this great city in iconic landmarks like DKR Stadium and the Pennybacker Bridge. And as the city continues to grow and thrive, so do our friends over at Iron Workers Local Union 482. They don't go to the office, they build it. So if you're looking for an exciting new career, maybe you're frustrated with your work choices and your career path, and you want something fresh, something new, something that will challenge you, you've become a valued member of Iron Workers Local 482 and accept the challenge of becoming the best version of yourself while helping shape Austin's economic development. Right now, Iron Workers Local Union 482 are hiring 3,000 people for a huge project right here in Central Texas. So you can take pride in the type of teamwork and craftsmanship that helps shape the future of our great city. Maximize your potential and be your best self today by applying at ironworkers482.org. That's ironworkers482.org. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. I want to talk some Cowboys here, but we might not have a ton of time to get deep into that topic, so we can, I'll reference the story that I wanted to get to. But I got sidetracked because we were talking a lot about Jim Brown. Jim Brown passed away today, the great Jim Brown at the age of 87. And my man Casey Studdard, lifetime Longhorn Casey Studdard, he sent us a text and he referenced a quote from Jim Brown about Earl Campbell. And I remember the quote. So I started going down the rabbit hole trying to find the published quote. So I did find it over at Fox Sports. So it's them. I'll give them credit. And it was the quote that my man Casey referenced in regards to Jim Brown talking about Earl Campbell. And first, actually, it took me to a quote from Earl Campbell talking about Jim Brown. Mm-hmm. So I'll give you the Earl Campbell quote talking about Jim Brown first, and then we can go to the Jim Brown quote talking about Earl Campbell. But Earl Campbell is famous for saying, after watching films of Jim Brown, I noticed that he never ran out of bounds. He always ran north and south, and that's what I turned my style into. I was a north and south runner. If
Smart.
that quote is real, then Earl Campbell patterned his game after Jim Brown.
Love it.
And old people have told me that before. Like, oh, no. So I was like, I've never seen anybody play the game like Earl Campbell because he essentially used his body as a weapon. And he would, right? And he would punish defenders.
People. Yeah, I was going to say hurting people.
Oh, man. He was putting guys really just in the ground. Like literally putting them in the ground sometimes with the way that he would run them over. And like I said, based on that quote, he patterned his style after the great Jim Brown. And here's another quote from Earl Campbell. He said, that's what everybody talked about, wanting to be a running back like Jim Brown. After studying that, I fell into that. After having a chance to meet Jim, he always says this. Earl Campbell said, or this is what Jim told him. I'm first, Earl's second. All them other running backs can get whatever position they want to get in.
He letting you know off the rip.
Yeah. I found that quote. I found one from the Associated Press, and I found it again at Fox Sports. And when Jim Brown was asked to rank all-time great running backs, he said, it's me first, Earl second, and everybody else get in line. Mm-hmm. Now, he might have been a big Earl Campbell fan because Earl Campbell literally is telling everybody, hey, I patterned my game to Jim Brown, and Jim Brown's the greatest, and I want to be like Jim Brown. That's why I ran the way I did. It's a process. But still, the late, great Jim Brown is on the record, and these multiple times here in multiple quotes saying, I'm the GOAT, I'm the best all time, and then it's Earl Campbell. And if I had to go off Jim Brown's quote, because this is Jim Brown's day, so we'll let Jim Brown be right. We won't debate Jim Brown's words today. I'd put Barry Sanders third then. If you don't know that, right? Okay. Because, I think Barry Sanders is
one of the freakish. He's one of the freakish. Yeah.
Barry Sanders is my GOAT running back. He's my Jim Brown for like all the old guys. He is my version of that. Because Earl Campbell, I didn't get to watch Earl Campbell run as much as I wanted to. I was a Lovey Blue guy when I was a kid. I was born in 1980. You know what I mean? So I can totally appreciate the greatness of Earl Campbell. I've seen more film on Earl Campbell than I've ever seen on Jim Brown.
I saw him in the prime when he was getting it in, and he was a menace to society. Earl Campbell, that is.
Well, they all are.
Yeah.
All the guys we talking about, they are a miss. But there you go. So thanks to my man lifetime Longhorn Casey Studdard. I almost forgot all about that quote until he reminded me of it. But yeah, Jim Brown, you asked him to rank his GOATs of the running back position. It's just him, Earl, and that's it.
There ain't nobody else.
He's at the rest of them. They don't even matter to him.
Yeah, there it is. There it is. What you say?
No. That is fantastic. That is a great
It's just
quote.
Us goats up here talking, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's just us goats up here.
There's only two of us.
Wow.
Yeah, that's impressive.
That is impressive.
That is impressive.
Thank you, Casey, for reminding us about that quote. Okay, the Cowboys story that I want to get into just briefly since we got just a little bit of time. I wanted to get into the undrafted free agents. I talked about this a little bit last week, actually, about the Cowboys and how good they are at undrafted free agency. There was a ranking, Harsh, most recently by Thor Nystrom. He works for NBC Sports Edge, I believe, and he actually ranked all of the undrafted free agent classes this season, and he had the Cowboys, in terms of their undrafted free agency class, he had them third, which means the last 5 years, the Cowboys' undrafted free agency class has been ranked first, second, first, ninth, and third. They're really good at acquiring undrafted free agents. And this season, I think three of the guys that are actually going to make the team as undrafted free agents. Now, maybe they'll put them on the practice squad because they expanded the practice squad, so maybe they'll start on the practice squad. But I think they got a chance to actually make the opening day roster. First, and this is my favorite of all of the undrafted free agents, Isaiah Land.
Guess where he went?
FAMU.
Yeah, buddy.
And how about this? Dan Quinn says he saw Isaiah Land for the first time watching. Harsh told me about this guy when I swear it was during the season 2 years ago. And he was like, watch Marquise Bell. You kept saying, he's like, watch him, dog. I'm telling you. That's before the Cowboys picked him up as an undrafted free agent.
It was.
And he made the squad. And you were like, nah, dog, he can play. He gonna play on Sundays.
And this one right here that you were about to mention.
So you saw him too?
He was on the squad. He was leading the conference. He was near the top 10 in sacks.
No, he led the country in sacks, actually.
Yes.
In that year, 2021, he had 19 sacks, 25 and a half tackles for loss, 3 pass deflections, 3 forced fumbles in 12 games. He was a monster.
Interviewed him
Really?
when he was there.
Give me a little bit about him.
Oh man, he's a great kid. He was one of those guys that, he was playing at FAMU, so a lot of people didn't know his name. He wasn't getting a lot of publicity unless you're really a college football nut, where you're studying stacks and you're seeing what's going on, quarterback pressures. Oh, he was an absolute freak. It was him and Marquise Bell on the defense that were the 2 players that I was featuring.
Well,
when you do your open player to watch.
Well, the Cowboys, you should go scout for the Cowboys.
I'm working on it for the undrafted ones.
You should go scout for the Cowboys.
Yes.
I will give you a lot of pride. You talked about Marquise Bell during the season when nobody was talking about you. Like, nah, man, this dude's the real deal.
Coming downhill at the safety position.
And the Cowboys agree with you, and they like him. They won the tournament to their kind of J-Run curse starter kit kind of thing. But yeah, this young man, he's light and he's a little slender. But he is a natural pass rusher. Those 19 sacks, 25 and a half tackles for loss, led the country that year, won FCS Defensive Player of the Year. How about this? Didn't play football from ages 11 to 16.
Right.
Didn't play football from ages 11 to 16.
Somebody grabbed him and said, man, you too good. You too big.
Basically,
come on.
He started playing his junior year again. He started playing his junior year in high school. He started playing football again. And from there on, that's why he ended up, honestly, at FAMU. Nothing against FAMU. But if he'd have played football
the
from
entire time,
sophomore or freshman year,
he'd have been an SEC kid.
Exactly.
He would have been an SEC kid.
Because he was actually going to transfer, and then he said he didn't like the transfer, the process, so he came back to FAMU, and then got suspended, I think, for like a
He was on Texas's radar.
He should have been.
Texas was talking about him at one point.
They needed edge help.
Yes.
It made sense.
That's when they were looking at him. Yep.
So I love him. He's born in Buffalo, but played high school football in Georgia. So he's played at a high. So I say he's one of the ones I think is going to end up making the squad, or at least practice squad if he doesn't make that. Earl Bostic, the Kansas tackle. He was a left tackle at Kansas. He only allowed 1 sack in 2022. So he actually is pretty good at pass blocking, and and the Cowboys have been really good at finding linemen as undrafted free agents. What you're talking about, was it Terrence Steele?
Yes, sir.
One for them.
Texas Tech. He's from Texas Tech.
And that's not the one that had the murder charge that. It wasn't a murder charge.
Lyle Collins.
Allegations of murder. Remember his
Lyle
girlfriend?
Collins.
Yes, thank you very much. He was an undrafted free agent.
Well, he was
shouldn't have been.
Right, I was about to say.
Shouldn't have been.
That was a steal.
Yes, and I apologize. It was not charges. They just said him a person of interest because one of his exes had gotten murdered or something. But either way, dropped in the draft as a result of that, and the Cowboys ended up being the beneficiary. Also, another player, Hunter Luepke. He's a fullback. Cowboys want to run the ball.
They want to run the dang ball.
He's a fullback, man. And he's an athletic fullback. He was a 4-sport star in high school, but as a North Dakota State fullback, he was really, really effective. And not only as a blocker, but as a receiver out of the backfield. I know you don't see a lot of fullbacks, but a lot of people said he should have been drafted in the 7th round. And he ended up falling out of the draft, mostly because of his position falling out of really favor these days in a pass-happy NFL.
But you can get picked up as an undrafted, which means that you better learn how to do special teams as well.
And I'm sure he's great at that, too. Yeah, no doubt. So those are the 3 I think have the best chance to actually make the squad as undrafted free agents for the Cowboys.
Isaiah is definitely somebody that you're going to like because he's freakish. He's so long coming off the edge, and he's got great bend. He's got great bend coming off the edge.
That's what I'm saying. He's a natural pass rusher because he's not big.
Not at all.
He's not a thick guy. And I think the Cowboys are going to try to put a lot of weight on him.
Yep.
And, I mean, in 3 or 4, don't know, 2 or 3 years, honestly, he might end up being a project that pays huge dividends for the Dallas Cowboys.
No doubt.
All right, we come back. We'll get into a little more off the record on the other side right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn.
Now's the time to be part of the Premier Sevens rugby action. That's right. Come out and party with the PR Sevens for the Eastern Conference kickoff on Saturday, June 17th at Q2 Stadium. PR Sevens, as it's known for short, is an American rugby team that you can be part of the audience, and it's predominantly made of North American pool players that are competing in the best entertainment facilities across the country. Catch professional rugby at its best. You can meet the team, see headliners, locals, and the men's and women's Team Texas battle for the top spot for the championship. Don't miss our ultimate fan fest experience with fun, games, and drinks and music and so much more. And it's all happening at Q2 Stadium, June 17th. You can get your tickets today at pr7s.com. That's pr7s.com.
512 Friday edition of Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. That's when my man Patrick plays songs from very talented human beings, bands, artists, musicians, who you have a chance to catch live right here in the ATX. Who we jamming right now, Patrick?
This is Van Wilkes, and he was playing Saturday at Saxon Pub.
Oh, I definitely know what that is. All right, there you go. Check it out at hornfm.com if you missed any part of any of the suggestions from 512 Friday, I should say. You can go check that out at hornfm.com. 512-337-3776. That is the number to the Specs text line. You also can hit us up via Twitter. Harge is at Hardball Harge in the Twitterverse. I am at Rod Babers in the Twitterverse. And my man Patrick Davis at It's Patrick Davis in the Twitterverse. All right. Now, we don't have a ton of time here, but we went over this yesterday. How Austin. It dropped in the rankings of the new U.S. News, World and Report.
Heck yeah.
They did, yeah. They did basically the most popular cities in America are basically the cities where people consider to be the best cities in America to live, that kind of thing. And they dropped down, I believe, to 40 in the U.S. News and World Report rankings. And they hadn't dropped out of the top 14 in the previous, I believe it was 6 years. This also is related. Texas now home to 4 of the nation's largest cities because basically the information from the census came out. Mm-hmm. And it says Austin basically joining Houston, San Antonio, and Dallas, top 10 populous cities in the state of Texas. Georgetown, suburb of North Austin.
Wasn't that like number 14 or something?
Once again, the fastest pace of growth in the country. Damn. With a rate of 4. Don't you live near there?
Yeah. My son graduated from Georgetown High School.
It was very different back then.
Yeah, it was.
With a rate of 14.4% of growth, surpassing its 10% rate of growth from 2020 to 2021. So that is the fastest growing community in the country.
Goodness gracious.
So there you go. The Bureau estimates Georgetown's population reached 86,507 after an increase of 10,887 in 2022. The booming city gained more new residents than Dallas.
Interesting.
Damn.
That is.
Y'all
when you
really
get more
like Georgetown, don't y'all?
It's a good place to live. They're building all kinds of great things out there, Rod.
Well, Kyle, also south of Austin, south instead of north, and Leander to the northwest, ranked 3rd and 4th among fastest growing cities with populations of 50,000 or more. So you basically got, of the 10
surrounding areas.
Yeah, so of the 10 fastest growing cities in the country, Texas took 4 of them.
Wow.
And Austin,
this area took all 4 of them.
This area took like 3 of them.
Yeah.
Little Elm in Dallas-Fort Worth region was ranked 5th.
Played basketball. We had a basketball tournament last weekend. We played against Little Elm. Good athletes coming from there. We talked about it. 2 players at the University of Texas. Your homeboy now, Chet Brooks, is from Little Elm.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, it's growing.
Yeah, so just a little heads up there. Yeah, it may have dropped down on the favorability rankings or whatever, but, man, people are still moving to Austin, Texas, Central Texas.
Austin, Texas, baby.
To Texas, period, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really a Texas thing more so than just an Austin, Texas thing. People are moving to the great state of Texas. So whatever.
I like it.
Yeah, whatever you think about Austin, people around the country, they love it. All right, we come back. We'll wrap it up, put it in the oven. We got one more segment left. Then we'll let you know what's on tap. Give you a preview for Texas baseball facing West Virginia tonight. All that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn.
Mike Harge here, and I want to talk to you about my friends over at Quick Roofing. We got beautiful weather today, but we've had its ups and downs. And I think you need to have your roof checked. So do yourself a favor and holler at my friends over at quickroofing.com. Jeff Quick started Quick Roofing 39 years ago, and the reason Quick Roofing is still in business for that long is because they take care of their customers and they have that great reputation of customer service. Here are some of the reasons why I believe you should choose Quick Roofing. You get a free, no-obligation inspection. Quick Roofing requires a project manager on every job site, ensuring that you, the customer, get everything that you were promised. Quick Roofing is fully insured and have all state and local licenses. Quick Roofing doesn't even require any money up front until 100% completion and, of course, 100% satisfaction. With all of that, you get a 7-year workmanship warranty. So what are you waiting for? Reach out today and get that free inspection. Go to quickroofing.com today. That is quickroofing.com.
All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is 512 Friday. That's my man Patrick plays jams from local bands and artists, very talented human beings that you have a chance to catch live right here in the ATX, the live music capital of the world. Who we jamming right now, Patrick?
This is Rochelle and the Sidewinders. They are playing Saturday at the Skylark Lounge.
Wow. Well, there you go. All right. If you missed any of the 512 suggestions, go to hornfm.com and you can sound really cool in front of your friends, like you actually know where all these talented bands are
we
performing.
need to go hit this spot real quick.
Exactly.
We're going to check out this band
All your
right
friends
here.
are like, man, we got to go call so-and-so because they always know where the party is.
Exactly.
That's all you get from my man Patrick hooking it up on a 512 Friday. All right, we got a little time here, so I want to get your thoughts on the Texas-West Virginia matchup, Harge, before we get out of here, do a little mini sneak peek, little preview, but we're giving you up to Texas baseball coming up here actually in about 7-8 minutes or so. But before we get into that, do want to remind everybody that we got a remote coming up next week.
That's
You
right.
probably heard us talking about it.
That's right.
We're excited about it. We're going to be at Alamo Draft House.
That's right.
Right? We're gonna,
South Lamar.
South Lamar.
South Lamar location.
And we're going out there because we're going to be actually courtesy of our good friends, the Austin Gamblers.
That's right.
We're going to be out there supporting a new docu-series that is going to be premiering, I should say, on Amazon. And that's going to be later on this month. I believe it's May 20.
No, May 30th.
May 30th. Thank you.
May 30th.
May 30th is the docuseries.
That's right.
But they're going to have a special viewing there at Alamo Draft House. It'll be May 23rd, the South Lamar location. We're going to be out there doing the show live. So I want to remind everybody, we're going to be doing a remote. So people always say, hey, man, you guys don't get out enough. We'll be out amongst the people. May 23rd, South Lamar, Alamo Draft House.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting time. And, you know, you like to watch a lot of reality TV. This is a different level of reality because these dudes are riding bulls. They're getting booked up off them bulls all day.
It's easily, I think it's the most dangerous sport out there. If it's not, then it's in the conversation for the most dangerous sport out there.
It's definitely in the conversation.
So we're really excited. It'll be Tuesday. It'll be May 23rd at that South Lamar Alamo Draft House. It's an 8-episode docu-series.
That's right.
That actually, I think it's actually about all the different teams in the PBR circuit. They got their, like, this team-based competition for the pro bull riding, for pro bull riders, I should say. And this docuseries is basically going to document everything, but the Austin Gamblers are a big part of it, and that's why we're going to celebrate with them at their May 23rd kind of premiere at the Alamo Draft House, but the actual docuseries will premiere on Amazon, and it'll be May 30th.
Yep.
And if you want to see the Austin Gamblers for yourself live in action, you can do that. They'll be at the Moody Center August 25th through the 27th.
Yep.
And you got plenty of time
Can't
to get
wait.
tickets for that. So just letting everybody know, we'll be out amongst people May 23rd. That is a Tuesday, South Lamar Alamo Draft House, supporting the Austin Gamblers. All right, let's get to a little sneak peek here, Harge, about the Texas-West Virginia game 2 tonight. And the Longhorns definitely showed up in game 1, 12-2 win over West Virginia, who's 6th ranked West Virginia, leading the Big 12 West Virginia. But the story is Lucas Gordon with a fantastic outing, 7 shutout innings, allowed just 4 hits, 1 walk, had 8 strikeouts. And then on the other side of that, Porter Brown, who, man, the guy, I don't know if he speaks softly, but he definitely carries a big stick because he had 3 homers in that game. And, man, it had a really iconic, legendary performance. I believe he tied the single game record for home runs on the 40 acres. What are your thoughts about game 2 for this team?
Well, I think it's going to be another important do what you're supposed to do type of game. And you talked about Porter Brown talking softly. He does talk
Does
softly.
he really speak softly?
I actually got a chance
carries
to
a big
interview him,
stick, then.
but he definitely carries a big stick because I've seen him hit balls a long way. Shout out to my man Dylan Campbell. Went 3 for 4 last night with a home run. He got a bunt base hit to extend his hitting streak to 31 consecutive games, which is the second longest in the Big 12 history. My biggest takeaway tonight is I want to see what LeBaron Johnson can do. I want LeBaron Johnson to go out there and throw strikes. It doesn't matter what their pitcher does because I think our offense is going to be right there. But can we get another great performance from LeBaron Johnson? He's been very consistent throughout the year. Every opportunity he's had, he's made the most of it. I want to see a performance like we saw against LSU when he was dealing and his split finger was working. He was able to locate his fastball and setting people up. So I'm excited to see what he's able to do tonight.
Yeah, you're right about, the offense seems to be clicking. They had 12 hits in game 1 and obviously 12 runs. Second most runs allowed by West Virginia this season. Now, they did put their freshman on the mound, but as you pointed out, his freshman can deal.
Yes,
Carson
he does.
Estridge was his name.
Yep.
He's been pretty solid, pretty consistent all season long. But Texas playing some really good baseball right now. And you talked about how, man, a lot of these guys now in the lineup are finding their hitting groove. They got their rhythm. How many guys are batting over 320 at this point?
Damn near everybody in the starting lineup. Down there, everybody in the starting lineup.
Got
And then
5,
they
6 of them.
And the biggest thing that I've always talked about, and I laugh at Craig, and Craig laughs at me. I'm like, if they can hit the ball the opposite way, that means they're staying on the ball. Texas has been doing just that. They've been moving the baseball. They've been coming up in situations. Yesterday they had one early in the game. They should have had a bigger inning, inning, but they ended up getting some runs. And then the next inning, they come back out there. Porter Brown gets back up, drives the ball all over the place, and you start looking at it. I love me some Garrett Gilmette as well. You look at what Peyton Powell has been able to do. This has been a from top to bottom lineup. Jared Thomas, I didn't even give him enough love.
Yeah.
This dude has been in fuego. He's on fire, as we were talking about yesterday with NBA Jam.
No, man, and they got to keep that.
Yes.
They got to keep that same energy.
That's right.
In game 2, as
It's
Coach
that big B energy now.
Yeah,
Big Matt, baby.
as Coach Pierce said, had to take care of business with the first one, but they got to take care of business with the rest of these. If they do get the sweep and they get a little bit of help from Oklahoma, all right? Oklahoma's
Yep,
got to
they
beat
need to
Oklahoma
win.
State.